Hello everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to look at how to export data to Excel or PDF, and also we're going to make print available. We're going to have all our tables, that is the employee table, adding or performing CRUD on an employee, and also adding vacation, overtime table, health table, and also sanctions table. We're going to make export Excel, PDF, and print also available to each of the following tables, whilst we also make search and pagination also available. So trust me and stick around because it's something that you're going to love it when we are done with this. This is actually a complete project that I have, or you and I have built together. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the source code in there, and I'll make the link also available. So if you want to grab this, you can also do that. So I do offer coaching session to people who are interested in Blazor, whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced, you want to improve your skills, I can help you do that. So if you want to get in touch, check the video description, and I have the link over there. Actually, it's not a link, it's an email that you can write through it, right? So from part 1 up to part 6, this is what we've done so far. We have our banner on top here. This is a layout that we have. It does not change as soon as the page or when the page navigates to other component, is still stuck. We have our nav bar in here, and you can see this is the default one, but we've customized it to suit what we want. We have this, and this where the company can set up for general department and branch, and also country, city, and town. And so we have the employee. So we made this in the part 6 up to the part 1. And now I want to check this. We ended up to the employee. So if I click on this, I have this form that I can just click on. I can just add a new employee. Okay, I can close this form and I can click on next. Since we are using an edit form with unvalid submit using data annotation components and also the validation summary, I can see we have it filled here that you need to actually do something. Okay, before you go to the next one. So this is where we ended, and if I click on this, I must add or fill this form. So we're going to have a look on how to complete this and how to actually work on the various tables that we have, such as the vacation, the overtime, the doctor table. That's going to be the health table, and also the sanction table as well. All right, so we have a lot of work to do today because we're going to make everything complete today. We're not going to have another video for this. Okay, so trust me, we're going to work fast and run like a rabbit as we did in the previous videos. Okay, so that's what. Let's see. But let's first have a look on this. If you want to solve the issue, if I run this or if I refresh this application, the first time the app loads, the screen is blank. Have a look. You see? So it is blank, and we don't want to do that. This application is mainly based on employees. So what we're going to do here is, as soon as the page loads, we want to have this employee as a default opening. So this must get opening. So as soon as you load the page, you're going to see this employee page loaded on the screen. Okay, so let's handle that. So to solve this issue, it's very, very simple, and I believe you have an idea to do that. What kind of idea is that? What do you think we can do to handle this? You see, we have our container, right? A state container, and that is what we are using to handle this, using the event or the action. Okay, so we can set it to that. Let's quickly go to the source code of our project in here. Now, I want to check this solution. You can see that we have the state container. Where is it? Have you found yours? Go to the client, and you can see this application state or state. So you could also group yours in various states, but here I made just a default or general one. And now from this all state, you can see we have department, branch, country, city. We're going for looking for employee. So show employee. Let's set this to true, and that is what we want. Very simple one. Okay, so I want to save this. That issue, it is now solved. So all of these are going to set to false, but only the employee default is going to set to true, and that's going to make it shown on the screen. You can also change it to user. You can change it to anyone. So when the next day, when the company calls me to set the user as a default, I just have to come in here clear this one and now add this one here. Very simple. And I have to charge them for doing that, isn't it? Okay, so that is it. So you can also switch between the view and then the hide default ones based on setting up this. Yeah, that's magic. So once you're done with this, what is the next thing that we have to work on? So if you check the app from this add employee, you can see that as soon as I'm done with this, I can click on next. But if I'm done here and I'll fill everything up and decide to click on the next one, see what happens. Nothing happens, right? So let's handle that. And also, if I click on this, I have to navigate to the list page. This page must get shown, but you see it is not showing. So let's also handle that. So let's clear all screen. Let's clear all the tabs here. And now that form, it is found in the add or update employee. So that is this one. We can choose that from this employee pages in the content pages. Okay. Now you see from here, we have two groups of models here. It is the same employee model that we have divided into two based on the form that we've created. Okay. So we have the first layer. We have the second layer in here. So that's the first layer, that's the second layer. And now we are switching between hide and show based on true or false that we have based on the name that we have stated in here. The second layer is set to true. Now the first layer is false, and that's going to make the second layer to be shown. When we set the second layer to false and our first layer to true, it means second layer is going to be hidden and then the first layer is going to be shown, right? I believe we've done that in the part 6. Now, the next thing that we're going to have a look here is to see each is submitting to a form. This is form 2 for the second layer. Now, when you check the form 1, the first section, that is first layer, it is submitting from form 1. You can see we have this data annotation validator. When you create this method in here and then we bind it up to this, as soon as I click on the next button, this method has to get run from top up to down, from the top up to the bottom before it checks the validation system. And in this case, you want to click on that. The next button is this. When you're done clicking on this form 1, we want to check if this form is being validated. And also, we want to navigate to the next component, to the next section to display the form 2 if this page has no empty space. Okay. But if we try to create this form 1 method and I try to click on maybe show this and show that, it's going to have an issue. Although we have not added anything to the table, but it's going to move to the next table. So to do that, we have to handle the validation ourselves. So to do that, we're going to also check it. Maybe you can also do some customized check to this. If form 1 has everything, then we want to hide form 1 and I'll show form 2. I believe you're getting the concept, right? That's fine. So let's see. From here, let me just hide this tab because we've done this already. Now in here, we have show layer 2, show and the previous clicked. So maybe down here, we can do the validation. So we are doing forms validation. Okay. So we have form 1. This is form 1. I have to comment this. Okay. So form 1. We want to create a simple method to check. You know, the model that we created, we divided into grouping 1 and then grouping 2. Maybe you can improve it by changing the name to maybe something meaningful, not this. So you can see we have private is returning. The type here, it is Boolean. So you can see validate employee group 1. Now we're checking if none is null. Okay, we want to return this true. So we are saying if this is null, return false, meaning something is not going on here. That's why we're using or. So it means even if one of these is not it's null, we're going to have this issue. You're going to return false. If not, it's going to return true. So when this method returns true, you know, we've retrieved or we've seen that the form 1 is being validated. Okay, so here, this is what we are doing. So after doing this, we have to also work on the form 2. So let's also check form 2 as well. Now, when we divide the models, you can see we have this form 2 or the employee group 2 has only the job name or the job title. It has the town ID and now the branch ID, which are cascaded drop downs. Okay, So we have this, and each is null if when you have the employee group for the job name is null, or if the group ID here, the town ID is equal to 0, or the branch ID is equal to 0, it means the user has not selected any of them. Then return false. So in that, we're not going to move to the next one, or we're not going to even submit the form to the method that we're going to create. Okay, else then submit it. So this is what we are doing here. So what of the question is, what of if each returns true and everything is in order, the person made everything available, then we have to extract. You know, we have two edit forms and we have two separate models, employee group 1 model and an employee group 2 model. So we are going to extract both data and now put it inside the employee single instance that we've created. Remember that we have this employee instance created in here, and that's what we are going to invoke. Okay, we're going to return. So we have to ask for this. We created it up for temporal one, so we can set up the values in here. We can divide or split this and now set to this. After doing that, we have to combine this and now assign it to this employee, and this is going to be the sender. Okay, so the return type must be this employee, not employee group 1 or group 2. So in doing that, we have to have a single method to extract it. But saying this is going to handle this with an event callback, we have to create the parameter first, then we can handle that. So we have this event callback, and you're going to return an employee to the parent component. And aside from that, let's extract from 1 as soon as I click on submit, and I'm going to check first if check here. So we're going to extract this. Okay, so when you click on that, you're going to extract the properties here, and now then we're going to make a call to this. Or maybe we can also check this first, because maybe we don't want to extract while group 1 it is something is null. All right, or each or some of the forms in there or the text box is null. So maybe this is what we can do. We can firstly call this to skip some errors in here. We can call something like this. We call this method first. This is going to check if this employee group 1 is null. If each property in this is not, then we want to just call this method to extract it, right? This makes sense, isn't it? So we're going to say that if, okay, this is not, if this is true, meaning none of the properties here, it is null. So we can then extract this in here. Maybe you are asking, or you are saying, oh, we can simplify this. You can just copy this method and put it up to this condition. Yes, it's still going to work, by making a debugging very difficult. I can put a breakpoint here and I can have the value stored here, either true or false. If I put this here, it becomes very difficult for me to debug it and I know the cause of this or the output of this method. That's the reason why it is better you have to cache it. You cache the response or the result, then we can now verify if only you want to verify. Okay. After extracting, then please show layer 2. So we can just move this to here. I hope this makes sense. Fine. So that's what this form 1 is going to do. So as soon as I click on this, this is going to show through. Now, when you check this layer 2, maybe if I peep this, let's see if we're going to have the definition for this layer 2. Check it out. We're going to set first layer to false and now show second layer. That's what we are doing, right? So this is going to make that work. Now, when we check from group 2, for the next session, that is the session layer 2. When the user also decide not to choose any, decide not to provide a value for each or any text box, since we are validating this, we're also going to have the same issue. In case everything is working, then we have to also save layer 2. Not necessarily layer 2, form 2. Now, when we are creating this form 2 method, we're also going to do same with this. We're going to also validate it. Then we can just have a look on that. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do in here. From the form 2, this is a form 2. Then we are checking. We could see we are extracting it first, and as I said earlier on, this is not the best, so we can make this happen in here. So if this is true, then we want to see validate employee group 2. If this is true, then we have to extract it. After extracting the address in here, we invoke this method. After invoking this, we want to set this container to empty so that it makes it available for other to type or to maybe do some modification and etc. or to add a new employee. So this is what we are doing. But maybe for this employee, instead of setting this to new here, you could wait. After sending it, and maybe there's a validation issue in there, maybe the data has already been added, the name has been added already, and the person wants to change the name, you can make it available before you clear it. If not, as soon as we invoke this, we are going to clear. So when you have any feature error, the employee is cleared unless the person enters the whole data again. Okay, but this is what you want to do for now. So you make sure that before you type in, you know what you're doing. You don't want any try and error in the application. Okay, so let's save this. We have our form ready, and we are going to try this out. And now here, we're going to invoke it to this method. All right. So here, when you use this add or update chat component in the parent component, we can now extract this communication and extract the model property from it, and I use it in the parent component. So after doing this, definitely we're going to have an issue here. Check it out. When you go down here, this is what we did the last video, to extract or to get the branch ID and then to get the town ID as well. We have this specified right here, so we need to remove this. You don't want any duplication. Then we have this dispose method. All right. So this is what we have in here. Let's remove all these empty spaces. And even with this, you can simplify this using this lambda expression. Instead of creating this and taking the whole space, we can make this simple, isn't it? Let's have a look on how to do that. So that's what I'm doing. Let's make this. Okay. So you can see this becomes cleaner and also simple as well. We don't need to be using this blocks. You can do this just one line, and that is it. Isn't that beautiful? Yes, it is. And I believe you like this, right? So try to use it all the time to make things up simple and easier to read. Or okay. This is the last one. Let's finish that up. I think this must have a weight, right? Oh, am I missing something in here? Let's see. Okay. So this is what I did. I think this must be an await. Okay, no, this shouldn't be. It should be like this. So what do you think? Yes. Okay. So all set. As you can see, very simple one that we've done. All right. So this is working. We are done with this one. And let's handle this component in the parent. So if I click on add, what am I going to do? What can I do? We have our UI created design already. We're using this drop down list to have this pop up. Okay, so let's see. First, we are going to run this application again and now see what we have. So let's see, add employee. And now if I click on this, I have this issue. Let's try to pass in something in here, right? So let's see. You know, this must be number. If I click on next, then let's see. You can see yes, validated. And now we have the form 2 displayed in here. We have this. Take note, I have the job name. If I decide to click on save, see what happens. I need to select job name. I need to select town. And I need to select what? Branch. Now, why did I not show information or instruction or warning against this? Take note. Okay, fine. So let's see. I decide to pass in job name or job title. That's fine. It's working. Now, if I decide to forget this and I click on select town, see. Nothing happened. No record found. No record found. Click on department. No record found. Click on city. No record found. the records are found in the general department. Okay, for now, there's no record found here because you have not provided it. But as soon as I click on this, I'm going to have all the records in here. As soon as I select any of the records, I'm going to have it populated in the department. And as soon as I select any of the department, I'm going to have it towns or 8 branch separated or displayed in here. So we have general department, we have department, we're going to have branch, not town. We have country, we're going to have city, and we're going to have town. So that's why we say it is a cascaded drop down. One must finish the task first before the other. So in a hierarchy form that you cannot skip. You must start from 1 and end up to where it's supposed to end. Now you can see that as soon as I click on the next, I have this form filled up. So if I click on previous, it goes back. So I'm the first session, click on next, second one filled up. So you can actually improve this. You can add when you have maybe 3 or 4 forms. You can do this is a customized one. There are some third-party libraries that we can use to actually have the same idea. All right, but this is a customized one, and I like to build my custom one so I'll know the to and fro, what goes in, what goes out into that component or to that form that I have. All right, if I click on this close to, it is working. But let's handle this close system. If I click on close, I want to show this employee. Okay, so let's go to the code. Now down here, so if I click on, that is a form close, we want to notify the parent that, hello, a child component method has been clicked. So please, can you change yourself a little bit? Okay, so that is what you want to do. Now let me give it name as form closed. Notify parent form has closed. It is returning, it's a void, we're going to return nothing. It's just a message, it's an alert that is giving up. And let's have this method in here. As soon as I close the form, there is a method name. So closed form. All right. So this closed form, this must be capital F. Now with this closed form, you see that here we want to notify parent. We're going to invoke it in here, and that is it. What is it saying? Okay, so we have this already, right? Ambiguity between notify close and notify close, meaning that we have this created already. Let's have a look if we have it set. Okay, so that is this one, right? So you can see we have it set already. So I need not to, but I'm sure. Let me remove it from this side. Yes, we want to put it on top here. Minimize this ones to make it clear and visible. Yeah, so form close form. This is what you're going to notify the parents. Then we're going to set this show or add update employee to false, and that is this current component. Set this to false, and then take note, if I click on this, check top here, the whole content is being surrounded with this. So in case it is set to false, so this set false here is going to be the internal one, and it's going to be the global one. Remember that the all state is a global, but it's going to be an internal one. Is it global or not global? Internal. Okay, so we have this. Let's save, and let's go to, we have this closed form, so let's make it fix the name well. Okay, so before we go up to the parent to handle that, I want us to also finish the complete something in here. Check this for me. You can see from the photos, have you seen, or you can just come closer. You can see the photo here, we must have this input file. But what do you have here? That's fine. Input text. And is it the right thing? No, it's not the right thing. So we have to use the input file, and I want to handle that. Now in an image, you want to convert it into base64 string, then you want to store it in the database as a string file. Okay, so we can be using it all the time. So let's do that. So we are going to remove this, the input in here. So actually for this, where we have this input file, we're supposed to be, that is this one. We can just override this home method with this. We have the same form group, margin top as 3. We have a label, and on this label we are making a check. Okay, so using ternary operator, we're checking if this component is a component. If this property here is equal to empty, then display empty. Now the test is going to be what? Test danger. And we're checking up here if the same is equal to null. We want to display this upload image, and now image upload message. This is a text that you want to display. This is a property. Now with this, what we're doing here is a class. Take note, this is a class. So in case we have any message in here, we want to make it as red. Okay, test danger. In case you have any error message, we want to display it here. So this property here is going to handle all errors, which is going to happen during during image uploading. Okay, we have this input file, and under the onChange event, we call this method as upload event. This is a validation message. As soon as the user decide not to upload image, we're going to have with this issue. So that's a validation message, going to have a message to display to the user. Okay, so let's handle this one property here and our one method or event. So let's come down, and maybe what we have this validate here. Before the validate, we can actually have file upload. So in here, we can have this method upload, and it is coming with an input file change event ask. So we're checking it over here. If the file contains PNG, it means we are allowing only PNG files. We create the format, we read the request, then we create the buffer, we resize it, then we're gonna convert it to base default string. The size that we have, we convert to base default string. Okay. Then we set this property to null. That's when you have no issue. But in case this does not contain PNG, then we say PNG file needed. Then we will have to return. So we have to create a property to handle this. And maybe on top here, we can just have a property state up here as an image upload message. So we have it set. Okay. Now let's go in there and try to display the image. You want to preview the image to the user. The selected image, you want to preview it. So how can we handle this? So when you go up here, where we have this, the employee name, the telephone number, and the address, we want to create one and display the image preview in here. Okay. As soon as the user select it, we have it converted and now cache it in there. We want to now set it up in here. So 100 is not pixels, it's 100 already. So we want to set up the image as the source going to be the employee group 1.photos. And you know, at the end, when you check the code in here, when we are done uploading the image, you see we are setting the photo string here. That's a property to the image data. So as soon as this gets set, we're going to have it displayed in here for us. So get set and now get shown. That is what we are doing. Get set and now here is going to show it. Where is it? Where do we have this image? It's coming from the form 1. So this is second layer. Second layer, we have it. This is the input file, and that is this one. I hope you've seen that. Okay, so we're going to also show this. Alright, so once you're done with this, we want to now go in there and now see. Now once we have this, we're going to use it for only add employee, right? It's going to have an update and also add. So let's change this. Let's make this as dynamic. We set this as title. And once you have this, definitely it tells you that we're going to have a property to handle that as title. So let's go to the base where we have the code section. And in here, we can have the title here. Right, or we can, let's see, I can just move this up from here, then maybe let's put it here, title. And also, aside from that, you're going to have access to the general department that you're going to select, the department, the branch, the city, the town. Okay, so in order to do that, let's also have some properties to handle that, so we can display them on the screen. The selected user that the user selected during adding that specific employee, because here the user can update the employee and we want to display the various general department selected, the department selected, the branch selected, the country, the city, and now the town. So you can see that here we have it, what is just selected from the location and also from the department. You have them in here. Then we change the title as well. They are all public, meaning that when we make a reference to this component, we can retrieve these properties from that component, okay, in the parent. Now for the title, we set the default value to add, because when the page loads or initializes, it's going to have add as a default, and that's what we want to do. So once you have this, we have to go in there and now set this on top of each of the drop downs in here. So you can see we have from here, we have that is going to be the department, right? We have our this is general department, we have department, we have branch. When you go to the second one, you have this country, city, and our town. So if it's an update, this is going to run when the form is adding a new employee. But out of if the form is adding a new or already is updating the already added data as an update, then what can we do? So from this, since the property that we have is going to contain values, we are going to check if it is null, it means it's an adding of new data. Then we want to display maybe select general department. But in case it is not null, maybe it has data, then we want to set it to the data that it has, right? So maybe we can remove this from what we have in here. Then we can hold on with this. So you can see we are having the straight gender. Oh, this is general, not gender. So this general, we have general department. If it's equal to empty, then display this. You see all of these, you're using this ternary operator to check that. If it is not, then display this. Then where can we use this? Just copy this. Now in here, just let's use the add, and now let's paste this here. That is all. We are done with this. Okay. So when it is you're going to update, you're going to have this work in here. Let's do same for the other one. And that's going to be the department. So we have the department here. Where from it, this is the department, right? So let's remove this. Then we're going to have select department. But I believe we must also have this. You must have a label down here too. So select department, we must also have a label. Select department. Okay, then let's go to the next one, and this is the department. This is going to be the branch, so not city. So select branch. So in that, we're doing the same. So you can even pause the video and then try your best, your hands on it, if you can actually achieve what we're going to do the next one. That is this one. Okay, I hope you got the same thing, isn't it? Yes, fine. So we can actually move on. So we have this set, and let's go to the location, and because we have country, city, and our town. We do same, isn't it? So pause the video, and I'll give you some maybe 1 minute. Try your hands on it, and let's see who finishes it first. So I have this select country, and I'm going to paste it here. You know, copy and paste. It's very sweet, so I encourage you to use copy and paste all the time, not to repeat yourself all the time. Be typing and typing and typing. So select city, we do same. Okay, then the last one is select town too, we do same. So town, we do same. Okay, Control KD. Then let's save it. Okay, so that is all. This form is available for add data, add employee, and also update employee or edit employee. Is going to work on that. So when I was working on it, this came to my mind. We want to actually dynamically clear the content. You can decide to leave the content, and we can actually clear it. Okay, so it's better that I show you the way to clear. So let's have a property down here. There's going to be a public method which can be invoked in the parent component. You can see when we save, let me minimize this. When we save the form, where are we saving? Do you know where we are saving? This is when we are saving, right? Form 1. We save it in form 2. That's where we invoke this. You can see we are clearing the content here, and it's not the best. So as I said this earlier on, we can actually have a simple method down here to clear the content, and it is the same. So clear content, and we put it in a single method in here. Okay, so that they become dynamic, and we can clear it. You can decide to clear, you can decide not to clear. Okay, and we'll leave it in there. Okay, so we have this, we can save this, and that is all done and set. I believe we have nothing to do again here. We can say goodbye to this add or update employee form. Yes, of course, we are done with this. So let's run this and now test it up and see if the form is working and everything is intact as you and I expect. Okay, so if I click on this add employee, we have our beautiful form displayed, and you can see nothing happens here. Maybe you can decide to show a default image if the person hasn't selected any image yet, but maybe you can decide to hide this. You can do it yourself, isn't it? Yeah, I trust you. Now let's say I'm going to pass in some names. I click on next, and you can see photo field is required, and you need to actually do some magic here to get the photos for me. Yeah, so that's what it's telling you, but you can't hear. I only can hear. You can see we have a default one is upload image. See, you can see from the list here, I have these images here as a background. So I'm going to select this. This is a JPG file. See what happens. It has a PNG file required. Okay, so it's going to update automatically, and you need to actually have it set. And let's choose another one. So I'm going to choose this guy and see what happens. Upload image, and that's fine. It's gone. Check here. You have the image watching you. Hello, how are you? Okay, yes, so we have it in here. Click on next and see what happens. Next page, so it has been submitted. Then we have the form being retrieved, the data being retrieved, and now save it to the employee model. We can now actually fill up here and also click on save, right? But if I click on save, you know what's going to happen. Job name and etc. has been provided. Okay, if I click on this, see, it has to, okay, so this has to be handled because we are notifying the parent, but we haven't retrieved it and we haven't called anything. So we have to also handle that. So our form is actually working as expected, and that is all. So we can move on from this add or update employee onto the parent component. So let's close this. Then we're going to, okay, so save this and everything is intact. Now we have this. Let's go to solution and let's have a look from this employee page, and that is a parents page for this add or update employee. That is a page which displays the list in here. So you can see when I click on this show menu, that's where we have our SF grid, Simulation data grid, which displays the employee list in a tabular form. In that we have our add or update employee page, and that's what we have worked on so far. So in here we are going to specify this the parameter that we specified in this add or update. So when you have a look here, let me show you. When you check this add or update employee, all the properties that have this parameter set up to initialize it is what you're going to provide. So you're going to provide all this parameter or parameters to this component, right? So we need to provide this. And also when you come down here, we also have this parameter is over here for save form. We also have this parameter in here for handle count or country selected event, for city selected event, for general department selected, and for department selected event. So we have to handle all this. So we have about 10 or more parameters that we need to specify to this component, right? So let's go to this employee again. And now in here, we are going to have this property specified. So I'm going to remove this one, and I'm going to specify all this. So if you want to do that, you see, as soon as I click on space, I have all these properties. You're going to do it one after the other. To, you know, to skip time, I'm going to paste this in here. These are all the properties that we have, but the values that you set in here, we have not created them. We are yet to do that. So pause the video and try to specify the employee. Is going to specify it here. Show or update employee. We're going to create it in here. We have modify parent or notify parent form close collect. Do you remember all this? Country, city, towns, general department, branches. You know all this, isn't it? They are coming from this add or update employee component. We have handle, country selected, city selected, department selected, branch selected, town selected, and etc. Okay, so all these are the ones that we need to specify. That's fine. Now when we come down here employees as employee list. Do we have employee list in here? We are not providing employee list, so we have to create an employee to handle this. Let's do it one after the another. The first one is we have to create a reference for this component. So this is a reference, and we're going to copy this and assign it in here. Let me make this as nullable. Let me paste it here, and that's also, this is solved. All right, so from this employee we can make a copy of this. So let's make a copy of this. Send this a list. I can change this to this as a list. That's a new version, C# verse 12. We can now use this an array as a new list. All right, now here instead of an employee, it's going to be an employee. Take note, because a single object, and now let's remove the list. This also solved, right? That's fine. Now show or update employee. It is solved already because we have it in here. We have the property stated over here, and that is show or update. So this also solved. The next one is notify parent change. So let's also handle the notify parent change. And in case the user clicks on close form, we want to notify the user and notify the parent, and now call an event immediately. Okay, so here let's put the initialize form on top like this. Let's leave one space, and here we say notify parent when form closes, right? So which form is add or update form, employee form, right? Let's be specific. So in here, let's paste it. So it's good to add comment to your code later on in case you come back and want to modify it. You know where you're going, right? So comments are very important. So please do comment yours as I do mine. Okay. So we show page as true, then this false, right? Then we call the load employees. Why are we calling? When the user finishes adding a new employee and click on the close form, we want to call the employee to load it again so we can retrieve the data in there. But maybe you can actually advance it, because it could be that the user may not add data, but the user want to close the form and then see the already created employee. In this case, do you have to load the employees again? No, you don't. But in this situation, it's going to load it. So maybe you can actually sit down and try to find a way to handle that. But for now, we're not going to do anything. You want to load it as soon as the user closes the form. Fantastic. Okay. This is solved. The next one is a country. So we need to provide default countries to this. So with the countries down here, we're going to have access to them. We have the country, city, and town, right? So you can see we're using this over here. The same gen department, and branch, we have them also in here. So all these are solved. We have country solved. We have default gen department solved, right? So we have these two guys also solved. Now the last one here is you have to provide this selected. Maybe you'll be asking yourself, why are we having so many lists in here? Let me take time to explain. Okay, now come closer, then listen. You know, we have this form. As soon as the page loads, since you're having a cascaded drop-down list, we don't want to populate each list or each drop-down with the data. No, we want to only load the first one. That is the city. No, that's not city. The countries, and now we want to also load the general department. These are the parent department. These are independent department, independent models or lists. They do not depend on anyone. As soon as the user selects country, we pick the specific country selected ID. We loop through the list that we have already, and now get the cities. Okay. As soon as you also get the cities and the user select the city, we get a specific city ID, and now loop through the towns and now select the towns related to that specific city. So we don't want to get the selected country, then we're now going to the database and I'll make an API call. No. As soon as the page loads, get all the API calls and I'll cache them. We want to have application to work faster. So we don't want to have a slow application. So we want everything to be made available before the user start to work on. So select this, the data is already there. You just have to go in there and make a loop, make some search, select, and now display. When select the data is already, so make this and now display. No more API calling, etc. As soon as the page loads, call the API, or the API get all the list once and for all. We can now move on. I believe you love this explanation, isn't it? That's exactly what we are doing. So that's why we have this selected department, selected branches, selected city, and now selected town. These are the lists that you're going to select, and these are the what you're going to populate or you're going to provide to this text box, not the default one that you have in here. So take note, you can see we have default country, cities, and now town. The same thing applies to this. And in that you have selected department, and now selected branches, selected cities, and now selected towns. All right. So these are the ones. Maybe you'll be asking yourself, why didn't I add selected department? Here we don't need to do that, because here as soon as these are selected, you're going to have a method invoked which is going to select, which is going to return with the integer, the ID of that. Once you have this list here, we loop to this list, we get the specific selected ones, and put them into the selected variables, and set it to the model or the component, and boom, that is it. So let's say let's create a single method, and that is known as load default. So what is this load default? As soon as you hear default, what comes to mind? Yes, it means you're going to load default an application or a call that you're going to call anytime the application loads up. Okay, maybe this could also cause an issue later on, because anytime the user tries to navigate to that page and come back, the pages method has to call, an API call must be made. Here we are just getting data only, so wouldn't be inappropriate if we cache this. So API call is made once. We can make another API call if and only this data have been updated or deleted or a new data has been added. But for now, we are not doing that. We can also optimize this application. I leave it up to you. You can actually do that yourself, and I believe you can do that. Thank you for releasing me. Okay, so we have to call this because we have default countries, cities, and our town, general department, and our branches. When this page loads, we want to call that, and that's the reason why we're calling this method in here. So it's better that we copy this method before we forget. And now let's duplicate this, pass this in here, remove the old one, save it, and that is all. So the next question is, how do you get the selected data or the selected general department ID or the selected country from the user? We've invoked it already, so you can just create a single method and now loop through the list that we have in here. Now make a sort. Just going to pick it up and now cache it or put inside the selected element that we have. So in order to do that, I have them in here quickly. I just have to go in there and grab this and I'll paste it, and we can just quickly move on. This is very simple in here. Okay, so this is going to be the select. Whoa, I hope you can see that, isn't it? Don't worry, I'm going to push it like this. So this will be, that will be, yes, I believe this is clear and simple. So see what we're doing, we are using this lambda expression. We're not using this block. No, we want to skip that. That's why it's moded. So this is a new one. Let's use this, okay? So handle city selected event or select event, you could say it is coming in with an integer. Then we want to set selected cities equal to default.where this. Using the where clause means you want to get the list. So we have to convert it to two lists when we are done and assign to this selected city. Do same to the city, that's to the town. Do same to the general department, that's here for the department, that is getting the general department ID. And now do same for the branch, okay, from this department ID. So that's what you're making a check in here. So this the relationship that we created, that's the reason why we're able to do this. So you can see we created a foreign key that is a primary key of this general department, which is representing the data, or which is appearing in the department data, making as a reference or joining these two tables together. So we're going to check if this ID is equal to the department properties or the columns ID or the record ID, which is equal to the ID that is coming in as a general department ID. Gather all the records in here, convert to a list, and now return it. That is what we are doing. Very simple one as well. Okay, so that's what we do. We call this method when the page loads. And also we want to load this employee separately, because when the user decides to add a new one and click on close form, we want to load this. You don't want to put it to the load default, so that anytime that user close form, all this will be loaded. No, we want application to be faster or fast enough and smart as we are, right? So we want to separate this, so we can call only this method anytime that we want. So when the page loads, we want to call this. We have this even here already. So we can remove this, and I use this lambda expression. Let's grab this, and when you check, this method is in here already, so we need not to reference it anymore. So load employees, that is a method that we are creating. Let's save it. So now let's check and see what are some of the values that we haven't provided. That is a handle save employee. So if I click on save, what should happen? We want to handle that peacefully without having any issue with it. Okay, so we can do that by calling this one method down here. And where should we put it? Maybe here will be okay. No, here, show main page, here will be okay. So this is save employees. So this is save employee. You can see we handle it, and it is coming with this an employee model. Then we're going to call this access check as false. Defaultly, we check in here. So this method is going to handle update or adding of new employee, isn't it? So if the ID is greater than 0, it means you want to update it. So call this method, pass in the base URL, and now call this method to display, right? So to display the message to the user, like maybe user updated or added, process completed, and etc. We've done this already. You and I created this method earlier on. So we can copy this method again, and now down here we can put this method here. Since you're going to be using it often, we can put it in here. Okay, so that's the method. You know this already, isn't it? Yes, you know. So let's see, and that's what we're doing. So we cache it in here, and the result is going to override this. If it is true, we want to clear the content. If it is false, we don't want to clear the content, because maybe you want to change something in there and now to save it again. We don't want to be clearing content even when the operation is not successful. We want to remain it there so you can actually modify it before you save. It clears it when only this is true. That's fine. Let's save this. So as we are done with this one, we can run this application and check it out. So let's have a look. Okay, so let's see. Now I reset everything, so you can see you have the blank one. Let's click on add employee. Now let's provide the name. So I'm going to use the same name that I used, so Netcode-Hub. So telephone number is going to be just a random number in here. Address is going to be, let me just pass in Accra, Ghana. So civil ID, I don't know what they're using it for. So civil ID, passing number, file number 2, passing something. Now let's use an image here. This is going to be an employee image. So I'm going to choose my best friend. Now click on next. So in here, let's have a job title. I'm going to be maybe as a software developer. That is the job title. Now here, I'm going to select general. So that's an IT. Department, maybe management is okay. Then a branch. Oh, there's no branch here. We have not created any branch. And country, we have Ghana. City, we have an Accra. And town, so we have all these towns in Accra. Can just select any of them. But you know, if I click on this optional, if I click on save, I'm going to have issue here. So unless we create, let's say a branch, and there's no branch, so let's add a branch here. And this branch is going to be developers. So it's coming from management. Click on save. Okay, so being saved. Let's go to the employees again. Now choose here, and let's refresh this. So you can make a search. So maybe you're not implementing that. As soon as you add, unless the app loads, so we can have all of these. But if you want to get the whole data, as far as you add any, you can use a container, state container, to also handle that from various components. Okay. So let's see, from the management, we go to what again? No, it's an employee. Okay, so Netcode-Hub is going to automatically fill it for us. And I said Accra, Ghana. Yes. Then let's choose my best friend as an image, and that is just one, this guy. Click on next. What is the job title? Here is a developer. So there is software. And that is coming from the general department of IT, some department of management, and another branch as a developer. Country as Ghana, city as Accra, and I have town as maybe Adowenya. Will be okay. So optional, this is optional. So I'm going to say this optional message here. Okay, So click on save and now let's wait and see. Okay, so we have an alert and it's blank. Okay, so nothing happened. Click on it again. There's an alert. If I close this and let's refresh the page and see if we're going to have it. Then it means we have an issue that we need to rectify. Then we see to it. Okay, so nothing displayed. It means it is not saving. Let's check from the source code in here where we have the employee.razor. Now that is where we handle the employee save. It is coming with this employee, and now we have this. It's calling this API, right? So this is an API that we have created passing this employee, and now the employee base URI. So let's see, we have it as API/employee. And when we check from the server 2, let's have a look if we have the controller also created. So from the server, this is a controller, and now do we have employees controller? Okay. Alright, so while this is working, let's see something. Let's check our solution explorer. Let's check the model and see if we have any mistake in there. So from our employees, DTO, not the DTO itself, that's the model itself, we are inheriting from this base entity, and now this base entity has properties of name and ID. That's fine. Okay, so you can see when they come here, we have this full name, and it seems like we are duplicating that property in here. So let's remove it because you're not going to provide any value to it, and we also add an attribute or required attribute on top, which is going to give us a problem. So once we've done this, we have to perform migration so we can have this taking effect. Okay, so let's actually perform database migration to that. I believe you know how to do it, isn't it? So pause the video and also try to do it, or you wait, then we all do it together. Which one do you want? Okay, so let's see. So first of all, we are going to build this project. So after building this solution, then we go to Package Manager console and we are going to add migration. Okay, so build succeeded. Now let's go to Package Manager console, and in here we're going to say add migration. So add migration, and let's say update employee table. Okay, so once you have this, we need to set this to server library, and let's set the server to startup project. You can see the default is a client, so set this as startup. Then we can now go ahead and undo it. So it's going to run the modification that we've done to this by removing the full name property from this employee entity or employee model. So you can see we have it, that's drop that. Now let's see, so update database. Okay, so this is done. So let's run this up again and see what we're going to do. So you first have to run the server, but first let's set the client to startup project. Then the server here, let's debug without debugging, so start it. And while the server starts, we can also start the client. So that is the server. You can see it is running. And let's wait for the client to run. And that is also the client. So let's see. Let's add employee. And now let's see. So first was Netcode-Hub. Then maybe the number is around here. Okay. So let's have an address. That's in Accra. Scanner. I'm going to choose the ID for now. C12. Maybe F12 for the file number. And also we choose an image for this friend. Click on next. Then we can now go in for job title, that is software developer. We can choose the department as IT, department as management, and now maybe developers. Country, Ghana, that's only one I have. Our city, Accra, and our town is Tesano. Optional, there's going to be an optional message. So, sorry, I do not have anything to say. Anything to say? So click on save, and now let's wait and see the output here. You can see we have process completed and success operation, right? So click on OK. Now when you click close this up, you can see we have the data in here. So you can see this is working, and if you refresh this again, we're gonna see the same data in here. All right, so our employee is working, and we can now add employee. The next thing here we're going to talk about here is if I want to update it, if I want to edit it, is it possible? Yes. Let's actually have buttons in here to do it. When you check this department and department, you see they have these buttons in here as an action. You want to actually do the same. But you know, when you use data grid for this employee, it has its own add buttons and also update buttons and etc. Right? We want to make this as much as simple as well, so we can add that as a customized one that you're going to do. So we can add our own image in here, or buttons, so we can click on, and it's going to affect the context. Okay, so let's have a look on that. So let's close this, and now let's go to the source. So inside this employee page, let's have a look. So that's the employee page. Okay. So when you come here, you can see we have these are the columns. We have this grid column, and these are the various columns that we specified. Now down here, this is what you want to do. Let's add another one. And now within this, we want to specify, we're going to add just an icon with this. Okay. So this icon that we are adding, we have a method shown here, and that is a show menu pop-up. So we are passing in the context here as an employee, and that's what we are storing from the context here as an employee. Okay. We need to create a method for to handle this show menu pop-up. So let's actually have a look on how to work on that. So this is what you're going to do. We want to use it as a context menu. As soon as we click on that, you're going to use a dialog box to show menus that a user can select from. Okay, either edit it, update it, delete it, or even add to vacation, add to what's the next one? Add health. Add have I mentioned vacation already? Okay, sanctions and etc. Okay, so that is exactly what we're gonna do here. So once you have this method, let's define the method for this, and maybe down here we can put it down here from, maybe this section will be okay. Load employee. This one is save. So aside from save, what's the next thing that we are doing? We are going to load the context. So here, there you go. So let's say this is context menu. Oh, where's the M? Okay, so in here we have this show menu pop-up. Then we want to select. You can see this method is coming with this object. So we want to create the selected employee. Then we can assign it to that, so we can hold it. Then context menu dot open context menu. Where from this guy, we need to create a menu, a context menu for this quickly. So we're going to create another component, and that is where we're going to handle all our menus in there. Okay, so we go to solution. Then have you seen the folder, the other pages folder? Yes, let's put it here. If you open it, you see I have this. Let's open this. Let's add another razor component, and let's name this as context menu. Context menu. Now inside this context menu, what are we going to use here? We want to have this SF dialog, because you know it's going to be a dialog automatically. Now in here, let me open it, increase the screen size. Now you can see when you check, close this up because we don't need close. Okay, so close all. That's right. So when you check this, let me save this, close this, and now open it again so you can see everything clearly. Okay, you can see we are using this SF dialog. Now we have, if it is open, you want to call this open context menu. We have its bound its visibility to this is visible property. Now in that, we see we have this a content, and it's a management menu, or maybe employee menu. Well, we can make it as employee menu. I think this one will make it more meaningful. And here it is what? View, edit, delete. You see, we have this add vacation, overtime, health, and our sanctions. So we have this menu in here. And this means we are going to create separate modules for each. Okay, so let's have a style, the CSS style that you have specified here as cursor. we want to have this here, and I believe you know what this is going to do because this is not the first time of me using this. And aside from that, you're going to have this code section down here, and now with this code section, we want to specify this. Let's create an instance of this, and normally in order to, we can make this as nullable, so let's use this. Okay, then we set this visibility to false. So defaultly when the app loads, it is false, not going to be shown. We are going to invoke all these methods. So what are these methods? The event that we've covered over here, we want to wire them up here so we can use them in the parent component. So this is what we are using. If we check this, clear this as well, you can see we have this parameters handle view. So if I click on view, you want to invoke it. If I click on edit, do the same. Click on add health, do the same. Vacation, do the same. Overtime, do the same. Sanction, do the same. And our health to do same. So we're going to retrieve all this method in the parent, okay, when you click from this chart component. Also, we're going to have two methods in here, and that is the show and hide data component. So open context and close context. We call state as change to get the current state here affected to this page, so we can either render or it can be hidden. Okay, so once you have this, we go to our employee in here. Now this, we need to make a reference to this in the parent component to make this work. Okay, so let's have it done. So in order to do this, we have to create this context menu top here, or we can even put it on top so we can, it will make you confused, right? So this is a context menu, and now you put it here, context menu is equal to this context menu. So when you say context menu.open context, you know what it means, isn't it? That's fine. Okay, so now we have this set. The next thing we're going to do here is we need to make a reference to that context menu and now specify all the method that we did in the chart component. So let's go down here. We are done with this add or update. So down here, we're going to use this context menu, and that is a context menu. We're making a reference to this context menu that we stated down there. Aside from that, we have this handle delete. Okay, so Control KD, handle delete. This is what we call delete click, handle edit, edit click, handle view, view clicked, handle health, health clicked, handle overtime clicked, add sanction clicked, handle vacation clicked. All right, so that's what we're actually doing in here. So anytime that you click on this, we want to add this specific user to the table, because you know that with this we have the data selected. As soon as I click on, take note, as soon as I click on show pop-up, I get a current context and I'll set it to this selected. So if I open that context, I still have this property full of data. That's the current context that we have. Talking about the employees, I believe you know what I'm doing, isn't it? That's fine. So let's handle the various methods that we have specified in here: delete, edit, view, add health, and etc. So down here we can start implementing each and every one here. Okay, so this is the default one, and now here let's start with it. So first of all, we're going to handle edit clicked. So if I click on edit click, what am I going to do here? Let's wait for this to get loaded. I think it's finishing some command. Let's wait. Now we're going to populate, since we have this employee object used in the form, the add or update form. We're going to populate that employee object here, and now when we are done, what we need to do here is hide the main page and now show the add or update employee page, and I'm going to have all our data in there. So see, check what you're doing. Now if I click on this edit click, you see we are, as you can see from it, is an add or update employee. Now this is coming from the instance that we created here. Let me just minimize all these things. We are done. So when you check this, you can see that we have this add or update employee. Where is it? This one. And we created a reference out of it as the add or update employee. So we want to have, this method has a property known as employee. We want to populate this, right? So that's exactly what we are doing down here. So when you check this, let me minimize this too. Okay. So when you check this one, you can see that if I click on edit click, you can see this employee.id, we assign to the selected ID, right? And we are doing same until we get to the server ID. So this is a group 1. Take note, this is a group 1. Now we have to do the same thing to group 2. So group 2 also has job title, and on the other, we assign to this selected employee. Now when you go to the general department, remember that we created some properties known as general department, department, and branch. If you've forgotten, let me show you quickly so we can come back again. We created this property down here. So have a look. these are the properties that we created, gen department up to the town. So we need to say, you can see initially they are all null, so we can set the properties to it here with the current one. So you can see we are using selected employee.branch.department.general department, and when you check here, you can see .name. We do the same thing to department.selectedbranch.department.name. So we are retrieving the name from the relationship that we created according to the entities. Okay, then we can retrieve the department name, we can retrieve the general department name, and also the branch. We do the same thing to the country and the city and the town. And now we have all set. So when we are done, we want to change the title to update. Okay, after change the title, then context menu.close. We want to close the context menu that we have opened. After closing it, then we want to click on show or add page to true, and now show main page to false. So this is going to hide the main page and now show the add or update page, and now set the title to update, and we're going to have all our data in there. Okay, that's what we're going to do for the edit. Now out of the next one, so we want to check this model. You can see when you check this edit here, it is solved. What in case I click on delete, and also view clicked, add to health, add overtime clicked, add sanctions, and also add vacation clicked. Let's handle one after the another. So the next one here, it is a delete. So if I click on delete, what can I do, or what is it going to do? Here, that's an edit clicked. So down here, I'm still going to have this delete clicked. So that is a delete clicked. We have been using this several times based on the creating these objects, department, general department, branch, city, and also town, etc. We've done the same thing. So what we're doing here is, as soon as I do that, the first thing is to close the context menu. Then we want to ask the person, are you sure you want to do this? So you can see we are confirming, are you sure you want to do this? If false, return. But in case it is yes, then branch service.delete by ID, passing the selected ID in here from the object that we have selected, then passing the URL to, as you can see, API/employee to the API. And now if it is true, then set this selected employee to empty. In this case, it has been deleted, and so we don't want to hold the data again. You want to clear that and also load the employees, because when you do that, as soon as the employee is deleted, it means one is off. We have to load it and now get a whole employee again. That is what the delete here it is doing. Very simple one. Now let's see the next one, and that is a view click. So in case I click on view, what can this do, or what am I going to do? Let's see. So if I click on this view, we set this employee into this selected employee. Now with that, we have this context menu.close, because you have to close it so we can display the next one. Then show details page is equal to true, and now show main page is equal to what? False. And selected employee is equal to new. So we clear the content. Now we have a strange property here as show details page. Where from this? It is a property that we need to create, and that's what we're going to use to hide the details and also show the details in the same parent component. So let's have that property created. And where can we even put this so it won't get yourself confused? I believe you can put it beneath the context menu reference from this area. So here, where is it? Context menu, context menu, context menu. Where is it? We have the reference made or state up here, and I think it is around here. Or maybe you can decide to put everything there, but here I want to group them so you won't get yourself confused when when looking at this project. Okay, so show details page is set to false defaultly. So as soon as I click on view, I want to set show detail page is equal to what? True. So maybe we can move it, since it is related to this view. Let's put this on top of the view. Okay, so we have this set here. Let me clear this. Now this means that you're going to create a detailed component, very simple one. Okay, so we can just create something simple to handle this. So do you know what you're going to do? Where do you think we can create this component to? I guess you're saying that from this employee pages. That's right. You are correct. So let's create this component, and we're going to say this is an employee detail page. So inside this employee detail page, I did not have time to decorate this well. Okay, so I was able to come out with something small, and maybe you can actually advance this, since it's just a detail that's going to display. information, you can actually do something nicely over here. Let me take you through what I did. You see here is a container and it's a row, it's a column LG12, as you know already. We have a card stated in here, and the title here is the detail employee detail property that you're going to come in, name, then we have details. So if it is a Netcode-Hub details. If it's your name details. Okay. And when you come here, you see we have an image, and that image is what you set it to this. So you have a class in here, there's a border, and you have a style set in this, whether the height and etc. You can actually move all of these to a CSS or a style class, then you add it in here. But normally I really like inline. Okay, maybe let me put this to the next line. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Now when we check the next one, let me save this, close this, and open it again so I can get rid of that black and white. I think I must have the right thing now. Oh, it's the same. Whoa, still the same. Okay. So when I check, you can see we have the image state up over here. We have the same card, and you have this table in here. You can see we have the table body TR. So we have the name here. We have the title in there, telephone in there, then address. Then we have the next one. That's for department info, and that's very simple too. We have the same table. So TR, we continue with the TR, and I have department. General department, you have the name in here. So you see we are making a reference to the branch, which has a reference to the department, which has a reference to the general department dot name. We do same thing to the branch name and on the department name and on the branch name. Okay, that's what we're doing. When it comes down here, we have the same table down, and this for location info. So you see we are making a grouping. So from the personal information, from maybe job information or department information. Then we have this personal information or the location information. We have country, we have city, we have town. Then, in case I click on a button like close to the main, what can I do? So I call this method also to get it closed. Now we have this stated beautifully. What we can do here is we're going to specify this event callback and our methods to handle this as soon as the user closes it up and as the user retrieves the data from the parent. Okay, so in this, we can have just 3 parameters to handle that. Now we have, okay, so I did not repeat this code again because it is already. That is one bad side of copying it. So you can see from here that we have this show detailed page, and now when you check the top here, it is saying if this is true, that is only when this is shown. Take note, okay? So we're going to provide the value to this from the parent. Then we have employee details, and then the event callback to also handle this, okay? So this is an event callback, and I need not to provide new here. Okay, I did not see it, trust me. So we don't need to provide new in here. We are invoking the event callback as handle details page close button clicked. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Let's quickly go to the main page in here. You know, today we have a lot of work to do as what we did in the last video. So you don't have to waste time at all. Okay, but you can pause the video, take some rest, and I'll come back. Okay, but for me, I'm not tired yet. Okay, so we go to the employee page, and now in here we have to make a reference to this component that we have created. So where we have this, you can see we have this contest menu in here, and aside from that, you can see we have add and update. So maybe with the details, let's put it in the middle here as detailed component. So maybe middle here will be better for us to get the arrangement well, because if we add, then we can now show the details. So we need to provide this to the property as an object to this parameter. Also, we have this parameter as a Boolean expression that we need to also specify this. Then we have this event as handle page close button click. So in case I click on close from the child to the parent, what am I supposed to do, or what should the parent do as soon as you hear your child crying, what are you going to do? Then we're going to respond to it, isn't it? Good, so let's also respond to this. And we can do that from this section. So from the detail page, we can do that after the view. So down here, if I see that, or if the parent hears a close event has been called from the chat component, then quickly the details hide it and I'll show the main page. That is exactly what you're going to do. Now that you have this set, let's have a look. You can see we have all the 3 here set. Let's go to the add health, the overtime, and also the sanctions and click event, and etc. But for now, we can just remove this. Okay, So maybe I don't want to remove everything because we're going to be using it soon. So I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to paste this here. Then you know what? I'm going to comment this because definitely going to be using it soon. Then I can now go ahead and I remove these guys. Okay. Alright, so now let's save this. And now let's run this application and see the output that we have, right? Okay, so the app is loaded back. See, we have this error here, and I believe it is coming from the fact that we have not logged in, because we have done a new migration. So maybe let's log out and try to log in again, and I'm sure user won't be found because there's no data in there. So let's create an account here. Then let's use this netcode. Okay, so there's a password, 1 2 3. Nice one. Click on register. Account created. Then we can now sign in. Okay, so login successfully. Now you can see we have the netcode, we have accounts login, and that error must be gone. Okay, alright, so you can see it is also gone as well. Now if I click on this, see what happens. If I click on this, you can see I have this a context menu that I'm talking about, or we created ourselves. And if I click on this view, see what happens. You can see I have this a view, right? This is it's not good at all. I'm going to do this later on for the company itself. But for now, you can leave this. Maybe you can modify it yourself. You have the department info, you have location info, you have the personal info in here, the job title, telephone number, address, and department info, IT management developer. We have the location as well. If I click on this, close notify the parent, and I can see it is off. Click on it again, and if I click on edit, see what happens. You can see I have the same info in here. Click on next, and let's see, yeah, I have the same data. So you see IT. Now the department here, I did not provide department. You can see the department is null. Branch to select branch, we did not. We have only the job title in here, and we need to provide the city, the country, and etc. This is Ghana, so you must have it selected in there. Let's click on close and see. So edit this. We have the following IT, and now with the department you have to get that. So let's quickly check the code in here from this employee, not employee details, from this add or update employee. In here, we check it. If it is equal to null, then we have to set it. And now, whoa, so you can see, we have to pass in the name in here instead of passing in that. So you have to use the select country. And let's say select branch, we have to use this instead. So this is what we have to do, right? And also, let's have a look. Department, we have to do same to this department. I think we nearly forgot it. But it's good that we've seen. We've seen it earlier. Okay, so we have general department is already. We have department and it is there. Branch is here. We have location. So from country is over here. City must be around. So we have to pass in the city property as well. Okay. Then the next one is town. So let's also grab this. And now let's paste this as town. Yeah, so that is this one. Now when we save this, let's try to reload this application. Let's see what we have. Okay, so it is ready. Now if I click on, let's see, go to details and click on edit. We have this. Okay, so we are here. We have everything. Click on next. And you have here, we have IT, management, developers, and you have everything set up in here. But if I click on this, close this, and if I click on add new, see, we have the same thing, right? So on the close button clicked, we have to clear that container. We can actually do that. And I believe as for this, you can do it, isn't it? So where are we having to notify the parent? Let's search for from this employee page where we have this notify parent. It is coming from show, where is it? Notify. Let's see. Okay, so in here, after loading this, maybe you can clear this container also. And let's say selected employee is equal to new. Okay, so we do that, and that's going to clear that container off. Now, when you click on update, let's see what's going to happen. So with this, you want to change the name. maybe the first one, software developer, from this previous, this is Fred, right? So maybe let's change to Netcode-Hub. Then click on next. We have the name set up in here already. So if I click on save, yes, you must select this. Okay, so you have to select, before you select this, you must also choose from this side. And we have only one, so let's use from first one here. It is what? Pram. So I'm going to use tester in here, developer, and you can select from the IT field, select from management, and now developer, and now click on maybe here, let's say modify. Click on save, and now let's see here, completed. So if I click on close, you can see we have the data in here being modified or specified as well. And if I click on add again, you can see we have no name. Right, so this is working. Okay, so that is this one. Now when you check, have a look, you see we've done the view, edit, and delete. Not delete. So let's see, if I click on this, delete this, I just want to do this. I want to delete ASA. Yes, or click on OK and complete it, and you can see it is off. So delete is also working. Let's have a look with the next one. The last three that we have, is it 3 or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, vacation, overtime, health, and now sanctions. If I click on add vacation, we're going to have a text box, a dialog box, which is going to display maybe the day that the user wants to, the number of days, and etc. Right. So let's have a look on how to generate this. Based on the requirement that was given, we're going to have to do same according to the requirement given to us. Okay. So then let's go back to the source code in here. And remember, when we got up here, we have to now uncheck this because we're going to work on the 3 left. And we can now remove this context menu here. Okay. So we have this set. Let me put it here a little bit. Okay, so let's have a look with the add health and the rest one. So in down here, let's go to down here. So there's an edit, and this edit is working. This delete is also working. Now let's see, this is a view also working. So the next one that you're going to have a look here, it is. There's a page close button down here. So we're going to create the various components that we can be used to just display the pop-up and also display the list of these various options that we have been given. So in that, we can do that from these other pages. Now let's create a folder in here. And I have to stop everything here because, you know, I can't rename the folder if I do not stop it. Okay, now stop. Now let's have a look. So you have to create, let me close this up. Close this. Now on this page, we're going to add a new folder. Now the name is going to be doctor pages based on the requirements. Supposed to maybe health pages or so, but yeah, doctor pages is what was given. So maybe we can actually have a look on that. Now the next one they're going to create here is we're going to create a component dialog. So here, let's add this component dialog. And now this is going to be a pop-up. It's going to be displayed anytime that the user or the administrator or the person, the manager, wants to add vacation or health issue related to a specific employee. This is going to pop up. Okay. So in that dialog, you're going to have only few is it columns or text box specified. So here, let's see what you're going to do. We have just a dialog, and you know we have this add employees health. Here you are just only adding, you are not editing. And you can see this is a doctor. So here is a model that we're going to create. I like to save this and open this again so I can have everything colored, not this black and white. Okay. So that is this. So here, before we come to the, you can see we have this is the doctor, and this is the model that we created. If I right click and peep definition for this, this has what? It has date, medical diagnosis, and recommendation. So these are the thing, the property that is supposed to. And now when you click on this other base, click on peep, it has ID, civil ID, and file name, file number, and other. But you know, we're going to remove all this because when we have all this related to the specific employee in the database already. So what we're going to do here is we're going to only link the employee ID to it. So maybe later on you can use a DTO to collect all the information and display if they want us to do that, okay? But for now we're going to do that. So let's try to modify this a little bit so we can use it in here. Let's go to the DTO, not the DTO itself, the entities. Now from the entities, you can see we have this an other base entity. We're going to remove all these and now accept only the ID. That's what we need. And we remove this and we add this employee ID. So let's add employee ID here. So this is going to be the foreign key in here, right? So you have employee ID. So when you check each, like the doctor model, so if I check this doctor model, you can see it has date, medical diagnosis, and a recommendation, and it has the two properties specified. When you also check the other models which inherit from this other base entity, you can see it has the same thing that you're going to be using. They are going to have this employee ID as a foreign key reference made to them. So you can see that's what you want to do. You don't want to be using or repeating the same property a couple of times in this table. Okay, you want to make this simple and it should be also nicely designed. Okay, so we have this. It means as soon as you made these changes, the migration is what is coming to your mind, isn't it? You're right. We have to do it. So let's save this. And now let's update this table. So I'm going to say, maybe add migration. And I'm going to say update tables. Oh, so it's wrong. You see, we selected a client and that is a wrong thing that we've done. So we're going to have an error. Although it's going to build this, but it's going to have an error here. So we have to make the server or a startup project, and we have to set the default project to the data access layer. That is a server library. Let's wait for this to get finished because you have nothing to do. Then we move on and do what you're supposed to do. So even build failed, and that's right. We like that. Let's set the server true as startup. And here we choose the data access. So we're going to do same, add migration, update tables, and I'm just going to run it peacefully and nicely. Then we're going to update it when it is done. Okay, so build failed. What's the reason? Let's see. Let's build it ourselves. Yeah, I know the reason, because of this. When you check this context menu employee page, you know we have this. Okay, so Control KC. Maybe we have to comment this. Let's do it again. I believe it is not only this, because we have created a new page now and we need to also rectify that. So this is what we're going to do. Let's finish everything, then we're going to run or build this, then you can run it and see what it's actually doing. So let's go to the, once you have this set, let's go to the doctor's dialog, and that is the health dialog. So pages, now go to this doctor dialog, and now in here we have this that we need to specify. So from the code section, we can just replace it with this. So when you check that we have a title in here, this we're going to make this available. Maybe if we decide we want to update it, then we can now change that. We have the doctor in here as a model, and we have when it is clicked, we want to invoke this passing, sending this doctor entity. And now when this is clicked, that is where we want to handle that. Defaultly, we set it visible to false. Now, if I click on open dialog, set this to true, and I'll call this state as change. We've been using this already, so I think you know what this is going to do. Then change title, so we're going to change the title for this. Okay, so let's save this. And once you're done here, the next thing I'm going to do here is let's go to the parent component, and that's going to be the employee page. So employee page will be here. And now from this add health, we go down there and now try to have definition for this add health. So that is this one, add health will be here. So if I click on add health, what am I supposed to do? That's the add health clicked. We call this method, and now doctor, we call that employee ID is equal to this selected employee ID. Remember that as soon as I click on show pop-up, I have this selected ID assigned to the employee or to the context. So in that, I'm going to close a context from the pop-up context, and I'm going to show this Dr. Dialog. So we have to make a reference to this Dr. Dialog, and so you have to make a reference to this object of the Dr. model. So in that, we can actually have a look on it by setting it up on top. So let's go up in here, or well, we can decide to put it on top since it is related to only this. Okay, we set up in here, and now this is a Dr. Dialog. So control period, we need to use it from this Dr. page. So in order to do that, you see, we don't want to include all the links in here. So we go to the import, and I'm trying to include all the various links that we're going to be creating in future. We're going to put them in there. So I'm going to have all this. Let me just grab all this, and in here, you can see we have the content pages and everything. We're going to replace it with this. You know, we have the sanction pages, we have vacation pages and overtime pages, and now we have this Dr. pages. Okay, so this is what we've created. We're going to create other threads in here. Okay, so let's leave them here before we have error in that again. Okay, now in the employee page, we have, when you check down here, let me just minimize this because you're done with that. Okay. So when you check down here, you can see that notify, so context. Okay, so we have it. This is a Dr. Dialog. Okay, so we have this Dr. Dialog, and it is a dialog that we just created. This is a Dr. Dialog, and I believe this we've added already, or we have to make a reference to Dr. Dialog itself. So to make a reference, it means we have to use that component in this page. Okay. So in order to use that, we just have to copy this, or you just have to copy the name of this Dr. Dialog in here, because it is a component. So we can make a reference to that component here, where we have all these components. So the next one, I'd like to put it here, and that's going to be the Dr. Dialog. Because you want to use the dialog, you want to pop the dialog up as soon as we click on add health. Okay. So in that, you can see these are the parameters that we need to provide Doctor, and also this save event. If you check this Doctor Dialog, you see this, we have two parameters, and that is what we are providing to this Doctor Dialog component. On the employee page, we are providing it in here. Okay, so maybe you can also, but I like to make it in a straight form like this because it's not actually much. Okay, so we have this created as a reference that we can use to call the method inside this component. Alright, so that's what we are doing. I think problem is solved now. When you check this, minimize this. When you check minimize this too, the context could say it is now sort. Yeah, so it is sorted in here, and this is going to be the Dr. Dialog. We have it set. Okay, so it's saying that the type of namespace in here, what's the issue? Could not be found. Are you missing the directive? Yes, so we have it already. So what is the issue? We have it state in here. Don't worry. When we close this and open it again, I believe everything is going to be alright. So from employees, from our client, and we have these employees in here, employee pages. Now when check down here, I think this is supposed to be, yeah, so it is solved now. So that's what we're doing. As soon as you pop the menu up, we have this selected to get a current context. Aside from that, when you click on add health, you want to set the employee ID to this selected ID, that's the employee. Then we hide it and now open this dialog context. So when you open it and try to save, pass and everything, add the date and do a whole lot that we're supposed to do. When you check here, you can see we have just a date, we have a medical diagnosis, and we have the recommendation. If I fill everything here and I click on save, that is submit button, what am I going to do? That is the next thing to do. We are going to handle this from this employee page. So let me close all this. We are done with them. Context menu. We are done with this too. Employee detail, you're also done here. User account, you're also done already. Authentication, done. Login, long time. Okay, employee 2, you don't need the module now. Okay, so anti-based, we are done. Setting up this, and I add an update to, we are done. So we are onto this employee page. Alright, so we are going to work on how to handle the save method from this dialog. So before that, we're going to call an API to handle this. It means let's check if we have created the APIs or not. Do we have any doctor? We don't have. We are up to the department. So it means we have to create our controller, and also we have to create our repository for vacation, the whole overtime. What's the next one? Do you remember? Okay, so sanctions, vacation, overtime, and now health. Okay, so let's quickly work on that. Then we come to the UI and now work on this too. So let's create our Doctor repository, and you can do that to that implementation. Since we have this generic interface, all of them are going to inherit from that. So Doctor repository, and now inside this repo, we're going to have our class. We're going to inherit from this with the AppDB context class, since we're going to have access to the database. Okay, so in here we have it set down already. And now with this, we're going to have a look on the first one, that is a delete ID. If I want to delete this, what can I do? We just have to return a general response, and also I'm going to search from the database doctors table. If it is found, delete it. If it is not, then return not found. Okay, so this is a private method that we created. Commit is also the same, and now success is also the same private method. Let's have these methods displayed down here. The first one is going to return general response, which is sorry, data not found, and also this process completed as well. Okay. So, and the success here is going to return this is a process completed, which is from the general response. Now, this is also the same. We have to put common ones together, and we have to create class where you can use it a whole lot of time. Do not repeat yourself all the time. Okay, so that is for the delete. Let's also see if I want to get all, we can call this method to also get all data in this doctors table. Now the next one here that we're going to do is we want to get by ID. So to get by ID, we can also use just a single line using this lambda expression to get it. Let me put it in the next line like this to make it very simple and clear for you. Okay, so get by ID and I will return it. The next thing to do here is to make an insert. So if you want to add a new, that's what we're going to do. You can as a doctor instance as a payload, then we add it and now commit and now return success. What are for update? Also very simple. We have to also get from the database, we map it, then we can now assign the old one to the new value coming in, and we can move on with it. Very simple one as well. Okay, so this is what we are doing. We save it and I return success. That's what we're doing for this Doctor repository. If you don't mind, let's finish the rest. Okay, so we have the next one, and maybe you're going to have overtime repository to be created. Let's finish all the repos in here before we go to the UI. So right click on the same thing. Let's go to add new class, and it's going to be the overtime repo. We have to still inherit from the same thing and inject this AppDB context for our database. So we do same in here, and that's what we're doing. Interface from the generic type, we pass in the model. Here we need to provide some properties. So this is some method in here, and it's the same. Okay, so I'll just have to grab that and I'll paste it. Delete, because you're doing the same, just like here you need to change the table name. Very simple one. Okay, maybe later on we can just put all these three methods in one class, that we can call it and now use it. But for now, let's maintain this. You want to try as much as possible to make the work very simple. And now clear too. So we have to also get the same. So get all. We can also get all data. Then we have also get by ID. We can also return it using first or default to get by ID. And that is this one. And the last one, not the last, we have delete and insert. So the next one here, it is an insert. If you want to add, you do this to add it to the item from this overtime table. And now if you want to update it, then you can now go ahead, get it from database, map it, or just watch it once you get it. Then make sure you map it to the current one that we have, return, save it, and I return success. Done. Okay, let's work on the next repo. We have the doctor set, we have overtime set, we have vacation also waiting for us, and we're going to have our maybe sanctions too. So let's have the vacation in here. Let's create the next repo. There's going to be a class as well, and I will say vacation repo. Now all this, we've created the models already. If you've watched the previous video, you know what we are doing. Okay, we created these modules already, and that is the requirement from the company, and we want to work towards the requirement which has been given to us. So we have to do this, and it is the same thing. Okay, so we want to delete it. We get from database, and now we're going to delete. Aside from that, you want to return the whole thing to the user so you can display it in the table, and we are doing the same thing in here. For this, we want to get by ID, so we're also doing the same thing by using first or default to get by ID as well. Now the next thing that we're doing here is we want to insert it. So insert, and also call the save to save changes to database, and I return success to the user as a general response. Aside from that, in case I want to update it, then you can now go ahead and also update this. So get it, and I'll match it and set the current value to what we have from the previous one, and I'll save it. And in case if you have any issue that you want to return, we can return error, that is if it is not found, not actually an error. And also we can also call this to save it, and I'll do the same thing as well. We save that, and the last one, not the last one, we're also going to work on sanction repository. So from sanctions to, employee can be sanctioned, right? So you must have a table to also handle that. Let's add. And the same thing, sanction repository, whereby you need to provide the same generic repository, and undo this. Yes, so they have the same, just that here you need to change the table name to sanctions instead of the other tables that you have been using. Get the list from the database in here. There's a list, general response, control period. I think we have to use this response reference, and also for this get by ID, we can also do same, and now get by ID as well. From the next line, maybe get all, get by ID. This will work here. We also have insert, it is the same as you know. And we have update it, so it's the same. Here we're going to match it based on the property that this model has. Okay, so we do that, and at the end of the day, we are going to save this to the database. So we call this method to save it to the database, and also return not found, and that is all. If it is found, to do that. So we have the same thing, and it is set. Okay, so if you're not finding this, it is the same thing that we are doing. Let me put it on the next line like this for you to get it clear. Okay, now when you check it, you can see we have types. So each has type that we're supposed to specify. When you check this, the client library, check this, the entities, you can see we have overtime type, we have sanction type, we have vacation type. So we need to also create a repository for each of these types. Okay, so let's quickly do that. Let's create the same class interface for this. Not the interface, this is going to be overtime type repository, a class for this. And now it is the same thing that we are doing. So I need not to be explained again. Okay, so as you watch, you're able to get the understanding in here. So from delete, that's where this to handle the delete in here. We handle the delete. For get all, we handle the get all from this angle. Also for get by ID, we can also handle this get by ID from this too. Get by ID. Okay, now the next one is we want to insert. So this method is also going to make it possible for insert to be made. Let's see. Okay, so we have this insert in here, and this is going to insert it. Maybe a return. Okay, so we insert it, we check the name, and now here, this is what you're going to do. This is going to make it as an update. So for update, you're going to specify this as an update in here. Now this method, you're going to check if the name is not found, or if the name is already found there. Then, this is what you're going to do. You want to return something to the user. So we can create all of this down here. So you can see we have check name. It takes in the name, and now we're checking from the database if it is found. So let me just put this in the next line. If the name is equal to this, then return item is now that is true. In case it is found, then you're going to return false. So that's what we are using here. If it is null, return not found. That is, it is not found. You want to update it. In case it is there, then not this one. This for the insert rather. we check the name. If it is false, it means it has already been added. We want to skip duplicates. Okay, yeah, so we have this set. We can close that. Now we have other two repositories left. We have the, what do you think with the next one? We have the sanction type repository also. So we have to also create same. And let's also do same from the same folder. Then later on, you can decide to have a simple interface for this repository too. Okay, because we know we have a single interface, a generic interface for this. But for the repo, we have individual repos. So maybe we can plan to have, instead of us typing the whole thing, you can decide to make a single generic interface to handle that. Then, so we're going to have generic repo, interface and implementation, all generics. We're going to have controller also generic. Okay, then it's going to make this very simple as well. Maybe later on, the next project, we're going to try our hands on that too and see if it's going to work for us. If you can have all access to generics for the whole three system that we need to add. So we have get all, and you know what it's going to do, right? So this is going to get all. We have get by ID, and it's still going to do same. Get by ID too, it's going to do same. The next thing that we're doing here is, if I want to add, you know what it means, go and add it. That's for addition. If I want to update, it is the same. You want to update it, just that here we need to change the table name. Now we need to specify the same method that we did in the other one, so we have to do same in here for checkup and also for returns access, and in case there's error in there, we want to do that. Okay, so you see this is the same thing that we are doing here, right? It is the same thing that we are doing in here. So Control KD, let's save everything. We have one whole left that we need to create, and we have this overtime type, we have our sanction type. So we have one left, that is a vacation type. So let's also have that created, and that will be the end for this project repository that we need to create. Okay, trust me, we're not going to create any repo again so that Kingdom Come. Okay, so from this, let's right click on the implementation. Let's add a class to this, and you know it's a vacation type repository, and you know what you're going to do already. Hope you know the drill, right? You're going to make a copy of this. Then here you have to just paste this. Then in here, maybe let me try to put this in the next line. Okay, so in here, let's implement the interfaces according to this, the generic one that we have. That's for delete. Then the next one, this is going to be for get all, and we have the next one, get by ID. So get by ID, this is going to return by ID. We have insert it. If I want to insert, add a new, I can do this, return. If in case the name is found already, then there's going to be an update. So we can also update this. No, this should be, okay, so let's see. Yeah, that is it. This should be inside the generic interface. It shouldn't be outside, so take notes before we do any mistake. Okay, so once you're done with this, we must have the base private model that we have created, or private method that we have created, and that is this one. Okay, so we've done this already, so that's why I'm not explaining this anymore. Now let's save this. So all our interfaces, all our repositories have been created. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to create a generic controller for each. Okay, so let's handle that too. Alright, so let's create the controllers in here so we can close this implementation. Now when you go to controller, we're going to right click and add a new controller for this, and we're going to name this as Dr. Controller. Okay, so in that, you know, we are inheriting from this generic repository, then passing the model as here, and I'm passing to the generic controller that we have created. So this is the interface. It needs a t value, and now the controller also needs t value, so you pass in, and that is all. It's going to inherit from all the controller method, the endpoint that we have created in the generic. So if I click on this and go to pip definition, you know, this generic controller has, it's coming from this t value, and it has all delete, single ID, add, the update, and etc. Okay, so we are inheriting all the endpoints into that. Let's also create the next one. We have doctor. We're going to have overtime controller. So we also need to include this. So overtime controller 2. And we're going to actually do the same. So you can see, make a copy and paste, and then change the models. That is all. We have the sanction controller, and we're also going to change the model to sanction, and that will be all as well. So sanction, and that is it. You see, very simple one. Aside from that, let's go to the types. So we have sanction types. We need to do that too. So that is the sanction types controller. You can see we are changing it to the sanction type model. The same thing applies to this, and the same interface that is inheriting from. We need to have the vacation controller and the vacation type as well. So we have the vacation, and that's the vacation controller. You can see we are using the same model. Let's add the vacation type as well. So controller, then vacation type 2, we have that. Now which one left? That is going to be the overtime type. We have to include that controller as well. So we go to the controller to add a new controller as overtime type. So when you check, you have the doctor, we have overtime controller and the type, sanction and its type, vacation and its type. Okay, so we have these controllers. Now when we run the API, we're going to have access to all of this. Let's have a look. But before that, before it gets run, we have to erase all of this in the program.cs file. It's good that you've remembered me. If not, we're going to have error when we try to have access to that. Okay, so let's actually have them registered. You go to solution, then in the program.cs, from the server section, server project, that's the program.cs. So this is a client, this is a server. So down here, we are going to include this here. So we have the agent interface, overtime repository, overtime type repository. So each corresponds to 8 repository, as you can see, and that's exactly what we are doing. Okay, so this saves. Now let's go to rerun this again, because when you try to have access to this, you're going to have an error with this. Okay, so let's see. That's fine. So you can see we have our all endpoint in here. Now this is authentication, so I can just close this. Branch, city, we know this already. Country, department, doctor is here. We have the next one. We have overtime is here. Overtime type is here. Sanction is here. Sanction type is here. We have vacation, and the vacation type is also here. So you can see we have for all our endpoint that we can make a call to this endpoint to retrieve data. But for now, when you try to get data, you're going to have an error because you have not run migration yet to update the modification that we made. So we need to actually do that. All right, so now let's close this. Let's close the server because we are done. You can just right click and then close all tabs in here. And let's go back to the employee, that's the client. So for the client, you go to the same employee page, and now in there, when you click on handle this, save the health, we're going to call this endpoint and now save it in there. But before we do that, we need to register this, that's the endpoint URL route in the constant class that we created in the helpers folder from the server or from the server library. Okay, so this has to. All right, so did I say server? No, that's the client. So we have this constant class in the client, and that's what we are using to hold all the URL. So the route, so we need to specify that in there. So go to the client, and you can see we have from the client library where we have the service. You can see we have a helpers folder. We have a file called constant. That's where we are adding all our constants in here. Okay, so we have to include all our constants. That's the doctor base, overtime type, sanction base, sanction type, vacation base, and vacation type. Okay, so we have all the URL endpoints stored in here. So now let's go ahead and start using this. So let's go to the employee page in here now, where we have the save, and this is going to happen from add health. Okay, so if I click on save, this we're going to save this add health data to database. So in here, we are going to, let's wait for this command to finish. We're going to save the health handler. And now you can see from save health event, the payload come in is an item, it's a doctor instance. And now in here, we set the ID of it to the selected item ID. And you can see from here, we call this API endpoint here. Okay, so doctor service.insect, we pass in the constant.doctor base URL. We check the response in here. Now we can check if it is true. If everything is working, we want to clear the container, clear the doctor instance, and also close this doctor dialog that we opened. Okay, now this doctor service, where is it coming from? Let's save this. We have to go to the import and now register this doctor dialog in there. So in here, maybe you can just name it as supplementary modules. So maybe what we have down here, we can say these are supplementary modules. We have this overtime type, vacation type, sanction type, and then we have doctor. Okay, each we have service attached to each, and that's the reason why we're able to actually get a service from this doctor type. Okay, now we're done with the doctor. Now let's have a look with the next one. So when you check, let's save this. This is going to be the next one in here. We have this, the doctor, and that's the health, add health, and now we have the save health to this. Let's see, when you check this model, you can see we have this overtime, sanction, and vacation. We have done the health, so let's handle the three left here. But I think before we even go into that, we have to add the page. Now this page is going to allow us to display the whole list of employees. Okay, so let's complete it before you move to the next one. I think so. Now we go to the same other pages from the doctor pages, and now let's add a new component to this doctor page, and we're going to name this as doctor page. You know, the first one is doctor dialog, so this is a page. Now this page, what is it going to do? We're going to be using this data grid, and that's a simulation data grid to handle this. And in that, we want to actually enable search, Excel export, PDF export, and also print. We want to enable these features as well. Okay, so within that, I want to actually have us look. Let's have a look here with the code session first, so we can actually work on the UI. So from the code session, this is what that we are doing. We're going to have this SF grid, and this SF grid, it is coming from using this doctor model. We give it a name as default grid. Let me close this and open this again so you can see it well. Okay, so we have this doctor as a model. We have an instance created. We're going to provide a list of doctors in here. And now when the page initializes, you want to get the whole list of get health from the API. Then we are going to, this is the method get health, calling this doctor service and getting all from the API. If I click on add button, you want to clear this container, create instance new, then open this dialog. What does this open dialog going to do? You can see we are going to call this doctor dialog.opening, which is going to set is visible to true and now apply status change to open or to pop up the dialog. So you can see we are creating one dialog, and this dialog is going to be used in the home page, that's for the employee page, and the same dialog is also going to be used in the separate or the other supplementary pages, such as the doctor page or the health page, the employee, not the employee, we have the doctor, we have the vacation, we have the sanction, and then the etc. Okay, now if I click on save, we want to get it here, so we're going to update it. Okay, so click on save, then we're going to update this. And if I click on edit, we want to get this content to the current item coming in here, then open dialog. So because we're going to provide this as a parameter to that component, so that's the reason why we assign it here, and defaultly automatically it's going to fill up with the various properties specified in this model inside the component that you're going to use. And here if I click on delete, then you know we have this item. We want to ask the person, are you sure you want to do this? Confirm. If yes, then remove it from the API. As you can see, provide an ID and now pass in the doctor base URL, and this is what you're doing, display the message and now get the whole health since a new one has been removed or added. We want to get the whole list again, and that's what that we are doing. So it is also the toolbar clicks. Here you can see it's an Excel export, PDF export from the same fusion. Okay, So here, if the text is equal to Excel export, then you want to export it. If it is a PDF, you want to export to PDF. Very simple one. Just one line of code, you're going to handle that. Now let's include our the dialog here, because you're going to also be using a dialog to update it. So the dialog can be here, and we provide the reference to this doctor dialog. We have the doctor object in here, and we have the save operation as has been specified in here as an update. Okay, now let's have the UI. We must first have the style created, and this is going to be a custom style. You know, I've been using this style since, and that is the character style as pointer. Maybe you can put this into the CSS class or the app.css, so you cannot be, so you won't be duplicating this all the time. But don't worry, I get it. So let's implement the actual UI that we need. Okay, so we set you are still going to use the state container to handle the opening and the close, the hide and the visibility of this. So we say that is the health information. We use this as a card, as you can see, the card header, and within this we want to use a card body. We want to use this SF grid. These are the tools which has the search, the Excel export, PDF, and the print, which is going to be displayed on top of the SF grid or the data grid. Okay. Aside from that, we have the list in here as stated beneath. We have the allow pagination or allow paging, allow sorting, and our toolbar. And also you can see we have allow Excel export to true, set the reference to this, and allow PDF export also true. Maybe if this is too long, I can just move to the next line, as you can see clearly. Yes, so we have the page settings. Page size is 5 initially, so maybe you can try to increase it to the number of page size you want. And here, if I click on any of this method is going to get fired. So we can now check and now execute what you want. And that is exactly what we've done down there. Okay, so for print, it's also doing the same. You know, allow print. Do you have allow print? You see we have allow Excel export, and now we have the print. So as soon as I click on print, it's going to print it out for us. We have the various properties specified in here: employee ID, medical recommendation, and the date. We have action, and we have this context as doctor, and that's where we have these two icons. So we have the trash and our pencil for edit and delete. If I click on any, this method must get fired. Let's have a look on how to write this method down here. And you know, if I click on edit and now delete, we have this method specified here. Edit is going to handle this. Delete is also going to handle that. Okay, so that's all this page is going to do. We are going to make a duplicate of this and add the dialog a couple of times for the vacation, for the other ones too, sanctions, and also vacation and sanction and overtime. Yes, we're going to have a copy of this and use it for all the three. Now let's save this. And let's see. Okay, so let's see. Now when you go to the employee page, you can see we are done with this add health. The next one is an add overtime clicked. So when this clicked, what you want to do, let's also handle that. So when you go to down here, where we have this, so this is save health, add health click, and now save health. The next one here, it is add overtime clicked. You want to set, so you create an instance of this overtime. And now we set the ID to this. So as we did for the add health, we're doing the same thing in here. Just that we set the model, to change the model to the overtime model. Okay. Then you close it and now open this overtime dialog. So this means you're going to also create the same dialog for this. Then the next one is we're also going to add vacation. So maybe we have vacation too that we can add. We can also do the same in here. Then we have vacation clicked. So that's an add vacation clicked. We also want to that. This is a sanction, as you can see. So we have to also include the vacation. So we're going to create separate component for each of these, and maybe that will be the end for, I think, this project. I'm sure. Yes. Okay. So once you have this, we need to create an instance of this. So let's first work on the overtime. Now the overtime, we have to create this. For the overtime, we need to provide the list of overtime type, because you know we have to select. We have a relationship in there, so we can actually just put them on top here. You know, we have this overtime dialog, and we have this overtime instance that have been created. You see overtime, and that's why we are providing the employee ID to this selected employee ID. Then we're going to close the context here, and I'm going to show this overtime dialog. So this is overtime dialog, but we haven't created any overtime dialog yet. So quickly, let's go in there and create this dialog. So let's create a folder for this. And, for organization, I like to create separate folder inside this other pages. So add a new folder with this. And now let's stop this. And let's rename this to overtime pages. Okay, so in that, we're going to create this dialog component, overtime dialog. Let's also create that. So add a new Blazor component, and it's going to be overtime dialog. So inside this, what we're going to do, we're also going to specify the same code section as we did. So let me just put them here for you. We have these are parameters that we are specifying. Let me close this and open it again. So we have these are the parameters that we need to specify, a list of overtime types, and also we need to specify this overtime object as item model. In here we have an event callback to return this overtime instance as soon as it has been invoked. We set title to this, visible to false, and now when it is saved, invoke this, and now open dialog and close dialog. And now when the value changes, because you're going to have a drop down list of a type of overtime type, we want to use the overtime type ID, assign it to the item value here. Then change title, we're going to change title. So this is what that we are doing here, because it is very simple, right? Let's have a look with the UI. As you have basic knowledge for this, what we've done already is the same thing that I am also doing here. So we check this using this SF dialog, and we have this title employee overtime. This is an item model for this edit form model, in that when I click on submit or save, it's going to call this method. Then you can see we have the ID specified, and it's a disabled type, so you cannot edit it. We have the input date to select date as start date. We have end date. Then this is going to give us the number of days automatically. That's why I can say the disabled. So you know to write it, it's going to subtract this from that, and then we're going to have the date in here. Also, we have this item type. This for the update, and this for adding new one. Just that here we have the selected item here. Okay, so maybe we can actually put something here. If this is not null, you want to use this, or we can use that. Maybe you can try that and see. Okay, so if this is not null, we can do that. But also this is also going to work. Okay, we've done this already in the add employee form. So we use the same ternary operator here, and in this also going to work. But here you need to duplicate the component here twice. If you want to skip it, you can use the other approach as well. Okay, so that's all that we are also doing in here. We need to provide the overtime types as a list of this overtime type, and we do same in here. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Now let's go in there and I'll handle this also inside this employee page. So we need to, as usual, as we added the reference of this, we need to also add the same thing to it, isn't it? So we can have access to the dialog as well. So while we have this dialog, Dr. Dialog, we can also include this. Maybe it is too long, so let me put it in the next line. Okay, so you can see that from here, we have the reference overtime dialog. We have the model as overtime. We have the list of this type as overtime types. Then if I click on save, I want to call this event, okay, to get it saved. Now this event is returning an object of overtime. As you can see, returning this overtime object. Okay, so let's actually handle that. So we can just grab this. We go to this overtime, where we have the overtime saved down here. Where you have this is the add overtime. So here, on top of this, we have this overtime dialog we've done already. So you can see we are calling this, and now we can actually use it in here as an open dialog, right? So that's what we have in here, and it is actually working. Now when it comes to the save, what is it going to do? Let's handle the save event. So if I click on save, we did for the add health, and now save health, and now this is going to be for the add overtime and now save overtime. Okay, so you can see I am grouping them, so as soon as you get the source code, you can actually go through it a couple of times for you to get a better understanding, or even when you're watching like this, you can actually know what we are doing. Okay, so in here, this is going to be for save overtime handler. Now with the save overtime handler, like you see, we are accepting that's a payload, then we assign the ID, then we call an endpoint here, we save it, and that is all. So here we make a save here, and now from the list page, you're going to update it. Okay, or we're going to manage it there, either an update or delete. So here we're going to make only savings. Okay, this is what we are doing. You can now close this. And it's the same thing as I explained earlier on from this save health. So you know to explain this again. I believe you guys are smart and you understand what you're doing, isn't it? We clear the container here beside this selected employee. We clear it as soon as you are done saving it. Okay, so that is this one. Now let's see, the next one that you need to do here is we need to display this content. So we need to create this page, a page to display this. And also we need to actually add this overtime type. So who is going to add it? Maybe the manager or the administrator can add that. And we need to make it available for that person to add the types of the overtime that they want. They did not specify an overtime for me, so I have to make it generic that they can add it to the database. And anytime that they want to change it, it's going to be possible for them to also change as well. Okay, so in doing so, I have to come by create the same dialog and on the page to handle that. So we go to the same dialog, and in there, a very simple one, we're going to create the same overtime type dialog. So here we're going to create overtime next component and overtime type dialog. Take note, this is a type. Now this type we have is going to be a simple one. We have just our UI, a simple UI, which has only one input text as the overtime type name. Okay, and the type here is going to be the overtime type. So let me close this and I'll open it again. So you see an overtime type. And now down here, we need to actually specify the code so we can invoke it and now save into the parent component where we're going to use this. So we have this overtime type and it's an event callback. We have title set to this and are visible to false. And now we can now save it as you can see. So we could see we are invoking it in here. We're going to return the type of what? Overtime type to this main page. Okay. Now let's save this. Let's go to the same component, and in there we have to create the overtime type page which is going to display the list of the overtime tab that the user has now added. So let's see, I'm going to add a new component and it's going to be overtime type.razor. Now in that here we need to only use table to handle this. Okay, so from the UI we're going to use table. And here we have this a container, row, column, edge12, and card. And here we have this button here as what? On click as open dialog. That is when you want to add a new dialog. Open it. You want to add a new overtime type. So you open dialog. Then there's a table head because you have an ID type and now the action. If the type is not null, we're going to loop through them. Provide the value for each of the header. And we have the ID and now the name. If I click on any of this, edit and now delete, I want to call this method and pass in the object here to edit it or to delete it. That's what we are doing here because it is very simple, isn't it? Very simple. And that is it. Now let's save this and I can close this and open it again. So I'll get rid of that white color as you can see. So overtime type dialog. We have this and that is the page itself. Okay. Now let's have a look with the code itself. So let me clear this. Normally we have to have our CSS style. As usual, you know this already. We've been copying this all the time. So from the code section, we can just make it work using the following code here. So you can see if I click on, take note, we're creating an instance of this overtime dialog. And as soon as you create an instance, it means you have to include this component itself. So we are going to include the component here, overtime type. You make a reference to this reference. Then when it is saved, you want to handle it by saving. This is what you're going to save. And now there's a model, the type that we're going to handle it. This type is an instance of this overtime type. we set title to add defaultly, so we can actually update it and now set to update anytime that we click on edit. Now take note, when the page loads, we're going to call all the types from the API, and then there's a type that we are calling. We're going to call all the types that have been added. Aside from that, if you click on open dialog, we're going to open the overtime type dialog. We do that from the button top here, open dialog, and to add a new overtime type. If I click on save, you want to check if the ID is greater than 1. No, ID is greater than 0. It means you want to update. If not, then you want to add. So that's what we're doing, update and now add. Okay. If it's successful, click the container, get all the types because a new type has been added, and I'll change the type to what? The title to add. If it is clicked, we accept the incoming payload, and now change the title, assign it to the object, and I'll open the dialog. If it's deleted, then what you want to do, confirm. Then if it is false, returned. But in case it is true, call an API endpoint, passing the ID of the item and passing the base URL, and that is it. It's going to return the success of through the display as a message to the user. Okay, so that's what we are doing in here. Very simple one as well. You know this, what we've done this already, so I believe you know what this is going to do, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so that's all that we're going to do for this page. We can now save that. So we are done with this overtype and now the overtime type dialog as well. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to create this overtime page. Since we have the dialog, we have the type dialog, we need to also create the page so we can display all the data from the employee to that component. Okay, so we have an overtime page, and now inside this overtime page, this is going to have a list of this. We need to include all these codes from this overtime page because this is what it's going to do. When you actually check the first one, we have this SF grade, and you know we're going to use data grade from Syncfusion, so you need to use this. Let me just clear this and open it again. I hate this black and white. Okay, so we create an instance of this overtime dialog that we created earlier on, and in order not to confuse you, I would like to bring it first, so it will be here. Because you have the reference, this is the item model that we're going to specify, and this is the overtime types. So this is going to be the list of overtime types to this. So as soon as the user wants to add, the user has to choose a list or item from this in the form of a drop-down list. Then this is saved. So we have one initializes, get all types, get all overtimes from the database from the API. So we have the two methods implementation down here. Okay, then open dialog to open the dialog, then save it to receive the item, and now save it in here to or update it to the API, as you can see from this. And we have, if I click on edit, I want to edit it, open the dialog, and I click on delete, confirm this. Then after that, we want to remove from the API, and I return it, and I display this default message that we have been using. This is to export it to PDF, and you know already because we've done earlier on. If the text is equal to this, do that. If it's equal to this, then also do that. Now let's have a look with the UI. So with the UI, you're going to have a state. You're going to create a variable to hold the state here, which is going to be a boolean, true or false, to show and hide the overtime. So for now, we haven't created that. Okay, it's going to be a container, and then here you can see we have manage employee overtimes, and you can see this is just a tool, the same thing that we did from the SF grid, the same thing. And we need to specify the various columns in here, as you can see. Let me put this. So when you have a look at the first one, you can just make copy and paste, and now we can just move on with this. Okay. Then you have the toolbar, as you know, and that's going to have access to the print, the Excel export, and the PDF export, and the search as well. There is a field name, it's an employee ID. You're going to have the type name, and also you want to have the start date, end date, and number of days in here. Action, you're going to have the edit click and then the delete click as well. Okay, so if I click on edit, it means I want to edit it. If I click on delete, I want to delete it, and each has implementation down here. Edit is going to open a dialog, and now delete is going to give you an option that you should confirm it, then you want to delete it. Okay, so here when we are done, let's save this, go to the home page, and now in here we need to add the overtime page. So overtime page, and that is all. So we have this set. Let's save this. So you've seen what we've done. We're going to do the same for the sanction pages, and so we're going to do the same for the vacation pages as well. So let's go to the employee pages, and now in here we're going to work on the sanction and the vacation as well. So here from the sanction, you need to make a reference of the component that you're going to create, and also create an instance of this, and that's what we're going to assign the employee ID to it. After that, from that component that you're going to create, there's going to be a method known as open dialog. As you know already, we close the context menu which has been opened for us to select this sanction. Okay, now once you have this, you can now save this. Let's go to the page. And now from the import, we need to undo this. We have sanctions, we have vacation. These are the two pages that we need to create. Now let's copy this. So sanction pages. Let's go to the solution. Then from the other pages, we're going to also right click, add a new folder to this. Then this is going to be sanction pages. Let's also create one for the other pages. That's for vacation pages. So right click on this, add a new folder for this, and this is going to be vacation pages. Okay. Now for the sanction, we're going to create a dialog for that sanction. So create a component, and now it's going to be sanction dialog. So for this dialog, this is what you also need to do. It is the same thing that you've done earlier on. Let me just close this, then open it again. So you can see it's just a SF dialog, and you're going to have an item model. Okay, and you know here we have an employee ID, we have an occurring date, then we have punishment date, and then the punishment itself as a test area. Then we have the type, select type for this sanction type. Then you know for update and also for adding of new type. So as you can see from here, we can just make a new type in here by selecting this, and if we are updating this is going to hold on the default or the selected one. Okay, now when you go to the source or the code itself, we have the three parameters in here for the object itself, and now we have a list of types. Then we have an event callback to return it to the parent to save it. And so we are doing the same thing. So we check when the ID is less than or equal to 0, it means type is not selected. In case it is not, then invoke it, open dialog here, show is, and now close it is show to false, and now do that. Now here on value clicked, that is if I want to select from the drop down, we want to assign the ID here to the object or the value coming from this. We convert it into string, and as you know this already, that's what we are doing. Okay, so this is the sanction dialog. We need to also create the sanction type dialog, and this is also going to handle for adding of sanction types only, so we can get them displayed as a list in here. So from the sanction pages, let's also add another component, and this is going to be the sanction type dialog. What it's going to do is just an SF dialog. It has the model type of what? Sanction type. It is bound to only an input text box, only one as a sanction type name. Then when you come down here, you can see we have two parameters, event callback and then the sanction type as an instance. And now in here we are invoking, as soon as we click on save, where it's coming from this edit form save, we are invoking this to in here, and we check if it is not null, meaning the user has provided the data. Then we call this endpoint, not the endpoint, we invoke it, and now this is going to be change the title as well. So you can see this is also very simple as well. Okay, now let's create the various pages to display the list that we have for the sanction and also the sanction type. So for the sanction type page, we can just add it to the same folder for the sanctions, and now in here sanction type page. So it is just a table that we are displaying, and now we're going to set state to show sanction type. If this is set to true, meaning we want to display this. Open dialog is the same thing, as you know. We're going to open dialog to add a new one. We have ID, type, and our action, so we can update and delete, and that's exactly what we are doing in here. Let me save this. Let me close this and open it again. Okay, and now here we have an edit and now delete. Okay, so we are looking through these types, as you know, and now when you come down here, we having this sanction type dialog in here and make a reference to this. We have the save in here, and we have the sanction type that we need to provide. That is for the dialog. Now down here we have the dialog instance created, so we can have access to the method in this component. Okay, so when the page initializes, get all types, and now this is the type that it is getting from an API, sanction types, so you can display it in the drop down list. Not the drop down list, you can display it inside this table. Okay, because this is the type that you have created. Now if I click on save, you want to actually save this. You check if the ID is greater than 0, it means update, and now here add it to the new database, add it to the new table. And now if this is success, then click the container, get all types again, and now set the title to add. If edit is clicked, then change the title and also display the dialog. If delete is clicked, confirm, and as you know it is the same, then delete it, return, call this method to display the response using the dialog service from Syncfusion. And now that is it. Now let's have a look. The next one, that's going to be the sanction page itself, which is going to have access to the data grid, and it's going to also support print and also Excel export and PDF as well. So here we're going to add this here. So add a new component to this, and that's going to be a sanction page here. So we're going to have sanction page to this folder. So this is going to be sanction page, and now we are using this SF grid, as you can see from this. Let me close this and open this again. So using this SF grid, which have the same tool that we specified earlier on. I hope you know what we are doing here. Just that all you need to do here is provide the sanction as a data source, and then you need to specify the properties for each of these. Okay, and that is it. That's all thing that we are doing for this. We make an edit and it is the same. Okay, so we call this sanction dialog. So as soon as you click on edit, this sanction dialog can pop up. We create a reference, then you provide the sanction types in here. So for us to get the sanction types, we have to call an API endpoint, and that's exactly what we are doing here. So call the sanction type in here from an API endpoint, then return it. Get sessions also from the same API endpoint, and also return it as well. Okay, we create an instance of this sanction dialog, then we can have access to some method in this like open dialog, because you want to open dialog from this sanction dialog, so we can open the dialog in here. Then if I click on save, the payload that is coming out from the dialog, we call an API as an update, because the page is going to actually help us to only update. We add it from the employee page, then we update it from the same or from its own page. Okay, then we do that. And now if I click on edit, we do same. Delete to, we're also going to do same in here. And I believe you know what you're doing with this, isn't it? Because we've been doing it a whole couple of times, so we know exactly what it's going to do. We have the same thing, Excel export and our PDF export. We have it set in here as well. Okay, now once you're done with this, we go to the home page, and now once you have this doctor page, overtime page, we have to add this sanction page too. And now here we have to add a sanction type page. Okay, so let's save this. Now let's go to the employee page. So when you go to this employee page, where is it? Employee. Let's have a look. So that's the employee page. Now in here we have this sanction dialog that we need to make a reference here. So where can we make the reference? We can put it down here. Where we have this code this side, we have to put the reference, that to make that reference in there. So let's see how to add that. So for that, we need to specify the sanction dialog in there. Maybe it is too long. Let me minimize it. So we have this sanction dialog, and because we are creating a reference of this, we have this item model as sanction, and now the type, that is the list that we need. We're also providing the list in here. Then when it is saved, it's clicked, we want to handle the save in here to this employee list. And let me actually leave a space between. And that's exactly what we've done here. So you can see, if I click on sanction dialog, what is it? This is the overtime, save overtime, and that's the sanction dialog. So you can see we have it set in here. Then there's an add sanction clicked from the context menu. We open it, and as soon as I click on save, what should happen? You want to handle the save option in here, right? So let's have it done here. So here we can just insert into the database. We are calling this database from this sanction service endpoint. Then we have to call the response to display the message to the user, and that is all. Because it is a payload that is coming from the invoke method in here from this dialog. Okay, So we have it set in here, and that is all. We close the dialog when we are done. All right, so that is for save. The next one here is on the vacation. So we have to create vacation page, then vacation dialog. You need to create vacation type dialog and also the vacation type page. Then we call it a day. All right, so let's also handle that as well. But I wonder why this has the same red line. Maybe we can just close this and let's try to open it again and see if we have the same issue. So yes, so that is it. We have it. It is gone. Overtype, it is gone. Then sanction is also gone. So we have this set up here. Okay, so that is save sanction. Let's handle the next one, vacation. So we have this, and now if I click on save vacation, what do I want to do? You can actually add the method in here. Then we go in there to create the component. So we have the vacation, so save vacation here. It is going to come in as a payload of an item of vacation. Then we set the employee ID. We call the vacation service insert. Then we display the response here, and I will clear the container in here. Okay, so we need to also create the component for this. Maybe we can reference the component in here before we try to create it. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Let's reference the component. So we're going to add that one to this component, and all these are going to be the dialogs. As you can see, these are all dialogs which are going to pop up as soon as we click on the context menu. Now in this, we can have access to this. So we have the vacation dialog, and making a reference to this vacation dialog in here. We have the item model specified, this vacation type, and now the handle. That is if I click on save. So we need to create this dialog here quick. We go to the same process. We go to the vacation folder, and I'm going to create the dialog in there. So that is this vacation dialog. We can create the component in here. Can just save this, close this component, and now open the component again. Okay, so it's the same thing that we are doing. That is a dialog that we are creating. We need the employee ID, we need the start date, the number of days, and now the end date. Okay, we need the type. So when you check this model, the vacation model, these are the models that were specified or we created earlier on in the first or the second video. So we have that, and this is the type that we need to also specify for update and also for adding of new entry. So we have it set in here. What we did here is to change the data source, to vacation type and our vacation types as well. Okay, so that's all that we are doing. Very simple one. It is the same as we've done already. And now we have three parameters that we need to specify for vacation types and also for item model and for save event as well. We do same if everything is working. We invoke it to the parent, then open and unclose dialog, get a value of and assign it to this. Anytime the drop down value changes, you want to assign it to this vacation type ID. Okay, let's save this. And the next thing that we need to do here is you're going to create the vacation type dialog itself. So we can keep adding the type itself. Then that type is going to make a reference or going to be referred into the vacation page or vacation dialog when creating the vacation for a specific employee. Okay, so we do that in here, and that's the vacation type dialog. It needs only one property as a name. Okay, and the type here is the vacation type. Now if it is clicked, we want to invoke it in here to this vacation type to save it to the parent, and that's exactly what we are doing. So when you check the vacation page, you're going to do that in there. Alright, so you need to provide vacation type to this as a parameter, and also you're going to handle this as a parameter from the parent component. Alright, so that's what we are doing. Very simple one, and as usual, you know this already. Now the next thing we're going to do here is we have the types already, so we need to create individual pages for each, for the vacation page and also the vacation type page. We need to also do that. Alright, so let's create the vacation dialog page, and that's the vacation type dialog page, which is going to handle the list of the vacation types. Okay, so in here it is the same. We have a table that you can see from this. Now inside the table we have this button as on click to add a new. We have the various table header as you can see from here. Then this is the type of list we are going to loop through and now set in here. We also have this TD as an edit click and also delete click, which is going to be handled down here. Okay, so that's exactly what we are doing, the same thing. Now when you come to the down here, we have the dialog box, which is going to be used as soon as I click on add new type. And you know, we have properties such as we have to get the reference of it. We want to handle the save type and also want to handle the vacation type as well. So this is going to be an instance of vacation type that we're going to pass in there to hold the value of the model for us. In here, we're going to retrieve it. And as you can see, we call this get types to get all the type service and vacation types. We open Dialog in case I click on add new. Then when saved, we want to check if it is greater than 0, that's an ID. You want to update it, else we're going to add it. We call the service, then we can now call it and use it here. The response here, we check. If it is true, we want to click the container, get all types again, then change the title to add. And if it is edit, then change the title and also set the item object coming here as a payload to what you have in here, the content, and now it's going to set to the dialog content or dialog component. Aside from that, that's a delete. Delete here, we're going to call an API first. We confirm, call an API if it is true, then pass in the URL, and it's going to delete it. After that, get the whole types again, and we're going to have the current or updated content. All right, so this is going to display the message using the dialog service from Syncfusion, and then that is all. Okay, so the last one here is going to be the vacation page. And now this vacation page is going to also handle all the vacation lists of an employee. And then in that, you can export to pdf.excel and so print it out. Let's have a look on how to work on that as well. So we add a new component, we name it as vacation page. And now we see we have this state container, we are having this show vacation. If it is only true, we want to display the following content in here. Let me close this and open it again. Yeah, so in here you can see we have an SF grade with the same to specify as you've seen. We have it on top, and in here it is the same thing as we've seen. Just what we did here is to change the type to vacation, change the list data source, and also specifying the column type. So you can see we have vacation, we have start date, end date, number of days, and we have the edit click and also the delete click. So in case I want to edit, in case I want to delete it, I call this method and passing the model in here. When it comes to down here, we have the dialog component displayed here such that you can actually update it. And you know, we have the SF grade instance created. We have the vacation dialog also instance created, so we can have access to the method inside this dialog component. We also have the instance of this vacation model, which has an item model, and that's what you are passing it through this as a value. Then also we have the list of vacation to display it, and we have a list of vacation types so that we can supply it to the vacation dialog. So as soon as we can see here, we can make a select from this. Okay, so we get the types, we get the vacation, and these two methods are going to work on that. Aside from that, here we open a dialog in case I want to add a new one. In case we want to save it from the dialog, then we're going to call this method. We're going to update it from data to the database, passing the vacation base URL. And now here from the response, we can now set this item to a new content if the operation was accessed. Okay, so that is for edit clicked. Then open a dialog and then set this model to the current item coming in. Delete item, confirm the person. That's the confirmation message. I just want to do this. If yes, then you want to delete it to the endpoint. Then display the message. Get the vacation list again, so you can have other lists in there. And now this is going to display the message within the alert. All right, so here we're going to convert it to PDF and also an Excel export. Okay, so we have this also done. Let's go to the home page and now let's make a reference to this. So we have the overtime, we have sanction, and you're going to have vacation. So vacation page, we have this. And also when it comes to the type, you have vacation type as well, type page. So you can see all the dialog boxes are found as a chat component inside the various pages. So that's why we did not include them here. You're going to call them from that parent page. All right, so once you have this, let's see, it seems everything is all right. When you go check the home page, let's see what you can do from the employee page. And now in here, we have this vacation dialog. We've made a reference here. and that is the model coming in here. So this means when it comes down here, we have to specify on top of the vacation, we have to handle that. And here we have the save health. It is the add overtime clicked, and that's the save overtime. We have add sanction clicked, and that's the save sanction clicked. There's an add vacation. So on top here, we need to also specify the reference of this component. So on top here, let's specify the property in here. So you see we have the component, we have the instance, and we have the instance of the vacation model. And in here we can call check if nullable as well. All right, so everything is in order, and I think everything is okay. So we have each has the add, and also it has the save vacation handler as well. All right, so once you have this, we can check. Let's go to the state container. That is from the all state, and in there we're going to add. You see here it's going to display department, it's going to display the branch, and accordingly it's going to display them as you can see from here. We want to actually also add the supplementary tables, vacation type, and also all the other various components that we have created. We want to add them here as well. All right, so let's see, this is going to be the doctor's table. That's going to be the health one. You can see we set all to false. Then here we are going to set only the show health to true. That's for the doctor. This for overtime, and in that we also going to do same. So overtime we show this, we set the rest to false, and we're going to have this overtime type as well. So we also have to show the overtime type, and as you can see, show overtime type we set to true, we set the rest to false. Then the next one is the sanction table. So for the sanction, we're also going to do same with it. We set the same thing to true, and the rest is set to false. Now the sanction type 2, we're going to also implement the same thing in there. So according to each, we're going to set to true. We first set off to false, then we set the specific the current one to true. That's what we want. Now when you have we have vacation, and at the vacation type also left that we need to actually add. So vacation and a vacation type, that's actually we have to add both here. Okay, now the next here is that is a reset. We have to add all the property that we've created. You have to add all of them, and we have to set them to false defaultly. So they are set to false. As soon as you call this method, you're going to set all to false. Then it's going to stand this up. Okay, yes. So are going to be lie down. There's going to stand only this up. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So we have this models. This state container created and injected, and now we are good to go. Okay, I think everything is set. Is that so? Okay, let's give it a try. Let's try to run this application, and now let's see what else we can do. But first of all, I want us to build this, and let's see if we have not. Let's build it first and perform database migration, because we have some migration to be made, so we can make modification based on the tables that we modified. Okay, so we have an issue here. Sanction type does not contain sanction type ID. So let's say it's coming from the sanction dialog. Let's have a look. Okay, so if item sanction type ID. So let's see sanction type ID. Now this is sanction, and what does it contain? You can see we have this employee ID. We have sanction type. Okay, so we need to also add. It means this as an error that we need to fix it up. Let's check the sanction type. Now you have the list of sanctions. So when you go to the sanctions here, for the relationship that is a many to one, you must have sanction type ID. And there's going to be sanction type ID. Yes. What else again? Let's see. I think that is all. Now let's try to build it again. Okay, so 5 succeeded, everything is working. Now let's perform the migration. So I'm going to clear, then add migration. But we make sure that the server is being selected as a default. So let's select that, and the server library is selected. So add dash migration. then you say updates all. Yeah, so this is done. Let's update the database. So update dash database. Okay, so this is still running. Now let's wait and see. Okay, so this is done. All the changes have been made. And now let's see. So let's try to check it up. We have server ID over time. Okay, all removed. Yeah, that's fine. So let's now run the server. So we set the client to the startup projects. Let's run the server here. Then we run the client. So let's run the client. So whilst we're running it, let's see, we did not specify the drop downs, that is the content here in the nav bar. So when you check the layout, the nav menu, it doesn't have this, right? So let's include this nav so that we can have access to the types, vacation types, to add vacation types, also to add the doctor, not the doctor in our part, to add vacation, to add sanctions, and add the overtime. So we have to add that. Now let's wait and see it first, then we work on that. Alright, so we have an error here. Let's check it up and see. So there's no registered service for the type, service contract, interface. Okay, so let's, I think I've seen it. Okay, let's go to the program.ts file from the client. Okay, now let's check it up and see. Do we have a country, city, town, employee? No, we don't have any of them. So we have to add this. So let's add the overtime with the type, vacation, type, sanction, type, and add the doctor. I think this is what we need to do. Also, let's quickly check the navigation, that is the nav bar. So solution, there's a nav bar in here. So for this nav bar, we are going to, let's comment this. Maybe we don't want to include this here. We can do it somewhere else. We have just the home button displayed in here. And at this, we have to include, let's say this, we have to include that authorize, yes, authorization. And I think you can have that link in here. Let's go to the not the program. Let's go to the import, and in here we can include this. So it is Microsoft.netcode.authorization. So that is this one, and it's going to make this nav menu is going to make this work. Okay, so we have the home, we have the button on top, and that's going to be the home button. Okay, on top in there. Now in here it is for only admin, that is for the user. So administration, you know, is to manage user. So that's where user can change the role, can delete the account. Okay, it is for only user. This means that only user can have access to this, and that's what we did in the I think previous video. And what we're going to do here is to add just an authorized view and now include the row here. And also that is it. So with this we have the margin top, and that is exactly the same. Okay, just that when you come here, you can see from this down we have this also included. These are the country, city. We've done this already. We just make a copy of this, then we change this to overtime clicked, sanction type, and also the vacation type. Okay, so I added these three lists in here, then I added the method here, and when you check down here we have the same method, and that's what we are invoking from this allState, the state container that we created. So you can see allState.vacation type clicked as we specified earlier on, then also we invoke any of them as well. Okay, so we can hide and show them based on which one that we click. All right, so that is it that we need to also do. Now let's run this application and let's check it out. Okay, so the app is now ready. Now let me open it while and let's see. So that's administration. So you can see we have the home button here. We have our administration, and in here we can have access to the users, and here it is for only the admin can do that. Let's see, so admin can add and now change the row. And also for the management, you can see we have all these in here. For the departments, we have for locations, and also we have the types. Wow, so check here, we have the overtime type and etc. So you can see we don't want to overtime section and etc. Let's remove all the types, or we can shift this to this a little bit. We can actually do that modification in there, right? So in here, where we have that is coming from which one? There's an admin. Aside from that, we have this top margin, and let's see which one that we are talking about. This is enough. Okay. And if I click on this page gets, so here it is left is, let's make it as 2. Okay, so when you save this, let's rerun this again. Alright, so the app is ready, and as you can see from this, we have everything here. Now with this, we have these users, and we can now manage an user because we're an administrator. Let's log out here. Now let's try to create an account and see. So maybe this is what you're going to do next. Maybe later on, this feature that we can add, you're going to have only the login. So we're going to have a default login, and maybe you have to create an account. But before you create an account, even when you create an account, the admin must authenticate you before you can have access to the login. Alright, so it is not like today that I create an account here and I can just log in. No, we don't do that. Maybe we can modify that in the near future. But for now, let's stick to this. So this is just a user or just a manager, and I'm going to say this is going to be user 1. We have the password 123. Click on register. Okay, so user 1, 2. I think it needs 5, more than 5. So account created. Now let's log in. User 1. Okay, so we are logged successfully, and it's going to open this for us. Now take note, the first one, since we was an admin, I was able to see the user. You can see from here, I have only the home and the management, right? Have you seen? So where is the administration? It is off because I'm not an administrator, so I cannot have access to that. What I can do here is I can just manage these ones in here. I can go for the employee, that's what is shown defaultly. I can check the vacation type, and that's vacation type. For now, nothing is added. We can just add a new one. So vacation type, let's add. Maybe this is going to be, I don't know what kind of type that everyone was. So it is a full, and I'm going to say full is going to be added in here. But you see it has been added twice. Let's see. Click on delete this. Completed. Add the next one. If I type in half, what's going to happen? Okay, so it has been added as well. We have half in here. Now when you go to sanctions too, let's see, maybe do you have premium in sanctions? I want to say premium, right? Okay, so I have this. Well, so maybe I can decide to delete this one instead of this premium. Maybe I can decide to sanction type is you can just say this absolute. We can just save that, and that has been replaced there. When you go to the vacation type, we have overtime. Okay, this is an overtime type, right? So we have full night and half night, right? So vacation type, we have this absolute and the vacation type, no, the sanction type. Now for vacation, we can have there's a holiday. So there's holiday that you can go in for vacation, or this your off day. Okay, so for off day 2, we can actually handle that. Since we press on the enter key, that's the reason why we have double off day. So we have these ones, and let's see if I decide to, if I click on this vacation, I have to get the vacation. We did not bind that, so we have to actually work on that as well from this table. And maybe the count of employees that we have, we can actually display them over here as well, right? But here, if I click on this, check, if I click on this, I'm going to have this pop up. I can just click on view, and I can view this, click on OK, and I can click on this again, I can click on edit, and I can edit every stuff in here. As you can see, I can edit this and I'll save it again. I can also close this, Now if I click on the same thing again, I can go to add vacation. I have this form that I can add a vacation to it. You can see start date, and as soon as I pass in the start date, maybe 2024, take note, you can see defaultly I'm going to have the number count in here, right? So for this end date, okay, so I'm going to add the number of days that you want to for the vacation. If I say 10 days, it's going to automatically be added to this. If I click on this, because you have the 10 days added, so end date has been automatically calculated for you. Select the type, and currently we have no type. Is that so? Maybe we've added a type, but we need to refresh this up. Yeah, let's see. So it has been refreshed. Unless with data is loaded, click on this again. So add vacation. Now click on this vacation type, no record, but are you not having vacation type in here? Management, vacation type, you have two types in here, right? Vacation types, and if I click on that drop down, a call is not made, meaning that we did not call this when the page loads. We have to check it up and make a reference to it in case here we could not find that. Let's see. Add vacation type. Site type. Okay, it is not there. Let's have a look at the next one. Click on this. Add overtime, and I select this. We do not have. Okay, fine. It means you haven't called them. Let's say add sanctions type, and also it is not available. So let's have a look on that quickly and see what we can do to complete this project. So come to the employee page, and in here we have to see we have all of them instance created as a list. Want to check this from the add health. From this overtime, we see we have the list created here, but we did not call an API to handle that. So maybe on top here, before we have this add issue, we can put it here. So you can see that with this, we are calling an endpoint to assign the list in here. Okay, so this is the first one that we call. For the sanctions, we have overtime and we have the vacation. And then we have to call all this method here inside the page load event. So when the page loads, or when the page initializes, we want to call these three methods here. Let's check the initialize async method. And that is this one. So when the page loads, we have to call them here so we can have access to the list of these various properties or the models that we have created. Let's refresh this page and see. Alright, so let's check it up. So if I click on this, and if I click on add vacation, I'm going to have the form here. So this is the 2023. Let's say this is 2024 this year, and I want to spend 10 days. So maybe 10 days would be okay. I'm going to have it set. Now the type here I have, you can see how this is a holiday, this is an off day. So this is holiday. Click on save, and then this is going to save to the database. Alright, so we have this. Let's also add one to the overtime. Maybe you work overtime. This is your ID, and at the date here is 2024, and I could see. So choose the end date. So this 2024, and now but instead of this day, it is around 10th. Okay, so 270 days, or maybe this could be 01, and this could be 10th. In here we have 9 days. Okay, so select the type. This is full time, so full night. Click on save, and then this has now saved. Now click on go to the next one and add health. Maybe have you visited the hospital recently? Yes. What's the date? 2024. Or you can click on this to select the date as well. And now what's the medical condition? Maybe sick, and let's say maybe rest. So with that rest, click on save, and now this also saved. Alright, so the last one here is what add sanctions. So what is the sanction date? You have the occurring date is 2024 January. Maybe punishment date actually is going to be 2024 too, and this time around is going to be we're going to come to work on February. Then what is the punishment date? Maybe let me say fight. Then the type here is going to be an absolute. So click on save, and you can see yes, saved. Alright, now but you are not seeing anything here. If I click on employee vacation, overtime, and doctor, I must have access to this, and I must even have the count of the various employees which have been added to this. All right, now let's see how to handle this as well. So let's go to the list, go to the source code, and where you have the other pages, folder, you can see that we have table banner. We want to handle this in here. So in here, when the page loads, we want to, let's have the code section. Okay, so from the code section, we want to have a list. Now within the list, when the page loads, we want to subscribe to this. Okay, so you want to subscribe, then call this default method. What is it going to do? This method is going to load all this. So you can see we get all the data in here, then we can now count them and now display in there. Very simple. So anytime the page loads, we're going to call this once and it's going to work. Also, the next one here is we want to navigate between hide and show. So with that, we have to implement this. So if health check is called, then we want to show this, and I'm just going to set this to true as we did in the state container. Okay, when the page is dying up, we have to unsubscribe to this action that we've done with the dispose method. Okay, so in here, the next thing we're going to do is we have to specify the count of these items inside this. So we're going to use from when you check the department. This is a department. So with this department, we are going to add, then get a count of the department and now assign it to this. So maybe let me put the next line. Then in here, you're going to have it as a batch, then department.count. Very simple one. You're going to do the same thing to the sanctions too. You want to count the sanctions. As soon as the page loads up, you want to count it and on display. Also, let's have the health count. So that is the health is in here. Okay, so instead of the doctor, maybe you can change this to health. Then let's add the count here. Also for the overtime too, let's do same. There's an overtime. We get a count and our display. Then we can also have access to the vacation as well. Okay, so the vacation count. Now the last one here is going to be the employee. If I want to count the employee, let's count it and display it in a batch form as we've done for the others. Okay. Now if I click, let's have left wire this to the click. So that's the vacation. If this vacation is clicked, I want to, let's use this the CRUD. If I click on this, I want to call this method. If I click on overtime, I want to display the overtime component. Okay, and if I click on health, I want to display the health component so I can have the list of employees which have been added to the health factor. And also the next one is the sanctions. I want to also open the sanctions table, and now within this table I can make a search. I can also print it out, export to Excel and now PDF as well. Okay, so that is this department. And for employees, we're not going to do that because you have the table linked in already. Let's refresh this and see. Okay, so when the app loads, that is what we have in here. You can see we have employee one data added, and that's what you see over here. Vacation, overtime, health, and everything. We have 111, right? If I click on overtime, it's going to display manage employees vacation. That's vacation. And in that, you see I can export to Excel to PDF, and also I can print it out. Let's say I can also make an edit. So this is a start, this is an end, this is a number of dates. I can also make an edit in here, and it also supports pagination, as you can see in here as well. Okay, now if I click on Excel export, you can see exported to Excel, as you can see export 3. If I click on PDF, it is the same to PDF, as you can see to PDF. And if I click on print to, let's see, I can also print this out. I hope you can see that. I can also make this print available using this Infusion data grid. This is available and easy to implement as well. Okay, so it is loading the preview. Maybe you can wait for this preview to be loaded, then we can print this out as well. So this is available, and as you can see, we have this set. Okay, so when you check this employee, we did not include the print and now the Excel export and etc. Right, we did not. So we can do that in a simple way as we've done to the others. We can also do that. Let's have a look on how to work on that. So on top of the employee page, let's navigate to this employee page. Now where we have this on top of the SF grid, maybe on top here we can specify the tools, right? So maybe let's specify the tools here, sets, Excel export, PDF export, and now print. And in that, we need to specify pagination, allow sorting, and also a whole lot, right? So let's specify these properties here as well. Okay, so maybe I'll put this in the next line, and that is it. So once you have this set, you can see we are allowing Excel export to true, allow PDF export also true. Now when you come down here, we have to make a reference to this SF grid. So go down to the code section, and down here let's have this SF grid where we're passing the employee model, and in that we can specify the method here for the print and also the Excel export and etc. You can do that very simple way. So down there, let's go and do that magic in here. Or maybe you can put it here. Okay, so we have this set, and that is all. So let's save this too, and now let's run this again. And now let's see that we're going to have these features on top of our SF data grid. Alright, so you can see we have this Excel export, PDF, and also print, and it's the same thing as we've seen from the vacation. You can also make the same print from the overtime too. You can also do same, right? From the health, we have also same, and from the sanctions too, we have the same. You can make a search from here. Pagination is also available, and as you can see, you can do any of these as well. So that's what we need to do for this. And I think this project is scalable, meaning you can add more, features, and it is also you can modify this. Okay, it's open for modification. So only that you can grab the source code, you can actually go through it and also modify to suit what you want. But this is what we've built so far for this video and for this project. Alright, so that is it. Thank you so much for watching this. If you want to get a source code, check the video description. I'm going to catch you up in the next video.